Carefully.
All right, hello, everybody. Welcome back to my stream. I'm Pop Culture Curator here. I'm excited. It's Tuesday evening, which means another episode of horror sci-fi theater. And the last movie we put in the poll, which most majority seemed to vote on, was the classic 1957 movie, The Incredible Shrinking Man. The book and the screenplay for the movie were written by the famous Richard Matheson, who wrote several Twilight Zone and Star Trek episodes, among many others. So it sticks. I was just talking to Gorilla backstage. It sticks relatively close to the book, except there were certain things that they weren't allowed to include because of the censorship back in the day. But other than that, it's relatively faithful. And it inspired a lot of things. It inspired the TV show Land of the Giants. One movie that it inspired, which I was not very happy with or fond of, was The Incredible Shrinking Woman with Lily Tomlin. That was a bad movie. And then, unfortunately, I guess fortunately for you younger guys, it was also used for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I know they made, I don't know, 1, 2, or 3 of those. I wasn't a fan of them, but I know they were popular.
Well, there was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Honey, I Shrunk Our Parents, and then I can't remember what the other one was.
Honey, I Shrunk Our Bank Account. Probably the last one probably bombed. That's why they didn't make any more. But I don't know. It's interesting because I heard that they were supposed to be making a new one. I heard it sometime last year when they were making that new Ghostbusters remake. They were trying to get Rick Moranis on board for that. And he was telling them no, but they said that he signed on for the continuation or remake or reboot of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but we haven't heard anything about it, so I don't know what's going on with that. And considering it's Disney, you think we would have heard something by now, or they would have piped it out, because they don't sit on stuff very long. But considering it's Disney, I don't care. Even if they make it, I mean, it's going to make the original look like a masterpiece, because whatever they do is going to be woke as hell, so I don't really, But enough with that. Hello, Time in the chat. So good to see you. I'm glad you could join us. I know more people might be coming in here eventually, and we'll be starting the movie here. I want to say hello especially to my fellow chat members, Gorilla's Random Thoughts and Nemesis of Eden. How are you guys doing?
I'm okay. Pop Culture gave me permission to be a complete asshole in this movie.
Right, just please, if you can, just try to keep your F words, F-bombs to a minimum.
I
appreciate it.
No, I'm in a better mood than I was yesterday. So.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad your boss treated you a little better, so that's always a good thing, right? How about you, Nemesis? How'd your day go?
Oh, it's been good. It's been real good.
All right, fantastic. I'm hoping maybe, I don't know, I got my fingers crossed, but I'm hoping next week maybe I can have an intro ready for this stream. I usually, when I do have streams, I create intros. I just did one for our Lost in Space stream on Mondays. So I asked people on Twitter, if you want to be on my panel, let me know so that I can include you in the intro. And I didn't get any response. So I guess if I make an intro, sorry, what?
Oh no, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Well, I try to be here I'll try to be here as much as I can, but no, my days get I got a really hectic week this week.
That's fine.
This is my only calm day.
That's understandable. Yeah, that's fine. It's totally fine. I don't mind that. But
I've got Tuesdays off. I booked them off, Pop, so I'll always be here for you.
Well, I can include you. You did send me. I think you sent me an avatar through Twitter.
Yeah, I thought that's what you wanted.
Was that for the horror stream?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Oh no, I didn't label it. I literally just sent you the pic, and I assumed you knew what or what it was
No, so
for.
okay, so that means I stand corrected. So one person responded, and that was Nemesis of Eden. So if I do,
Yay!
if I do an intro, I guess I'll include the two of us. It'll say hosted by Pop Culture Curator and Nemesis of Eden, and then I guess the rest of it we'll just wing it and see who shows up because it does seem to change from week to week. I guess depending on who has time.
Definitely, it's nice to have a rotating panel.
Yeah, sometimes we get Scogly, sometimes we get Hungry Boy, sometimes we get My Name Is Nobody. So it's kind of I like that. You never know who's going to show up. And Edge of Time, Edge of Time's here. I know sometimes Resolute Germ stops in.
Yeah.
Yes, hail Edge of Time. Good to see you.
Yeah, can we put an option in for Poltergeist one of these weeks?
Yeah, I can do Poltergeist. Maybe we'll do a haunted house themed. Maybe 4 haunted house movies and let everybody choose. I know there's not a lot of good ones, so that should narrow that down pretty quick.
Yeah, I want to talk to you after the stream about next week's video, if you don't mind, Pop.
Oh no, it sounds great. Yeah, definitely remind me. Don't let me forget.
Okay, sounds good.
Because I know by the time that we get to the end of the stream here, which is like 2.5 hours later, I'm wrapping it up and I'm tired, so my mind kind of goes. So yeah, if you can remember, then that would be wonderful. I will try to make it a point of remembering as well.
I can even send you a tweet about it. It's
Well, that sounds good. So So I know Gorilla said he saw this movie. Have you had a chance to watch it, Nemesis?
I watched it twice today. Hi, Jedi Bill. Good to see you, buddy.
Jedi Bill.
How's it going? How's it going, Bill?
Hail, Jedi Bill. Good to see you. I've been watching your what do you call it? Karaoke streams.
Karaoke.
And yeah, and Bill, I know you watch horror movies. I don't know if you've seen this movie or not, The Incredible Shrinking Man. But if you have time, you're welcome to join us on the panel. There is a link, and that invitation stands for everybody, by the way. There is a link in the chat if you'd like to join us on the panel at any time and give us your input on this movie. You're more than welcome. I also put a poll in there in the chat as well if you'd like to vote on the movie. And you feel free to be honest. You're not going to hurt anyone's feelings. Ola Greg, so good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, everybody's starting to come in. So, yeah, that's fantastic. Starting to see some really nice people here. So
all our favorites.
Absolutely right. Let me get my audio, make sure my audio is muted. We don't want to get flagged. And let me get my movie, get ready to get queued up. I know last week, last week was Kingdom of the Spiders, and I think we didn't get started until like almost 30 minutes into the stream, so I felt really bad about that. So I'm going to try to get this one started earlier.
Yeah, that was a fun stream, but boy, yeah, we took a long time and we deviated a lot from the movie. So
yeah, I think we wasted a half hour just talking about food and lobster and crab and stuff like that. But
yeah,
we'll definitely avoid that this time. So
The Haunting. Yeah, I remember watching that. Yeah, that's the original. It's The Haunting on Hill House, right?
Well, no, there was actually different ones. There's a movie called The Legend of Hell House, which was written up by Richard Matheson. Then there was a movie called Hill House, and that book was written by Shirley Jackson. So, and there was also 2 different movies. One's called The Haunting, and one's called The Haunting of Hell House. No, The Legend of Hell House.
And the second one is the one with Vincent Price.
The first one, The Haunting, is the one with Vincent Price.
Okay, because when you say The Haunting, I automatically think of like the remake with Owen Wilson and
yeah, I know. Yeah,
that terrible CGI.
Absolutely, that was a horrible movie. Let me look it up.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
I want to make sure we're not talking about 13 Ghosts.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just looking at Edge of Time's chat here. He says The Haunting movie is based on The Haunting of Hill House. I like both the new and black and white version.
Okay, The Haunting,
the black and white version.
Well, hold on. The Haunting, 1963, did not have Vincent Price. I think you're thinking about 13 Ghosts.
Okay.
The Haunting from 1963 stars Julie Harris, Claire Bloom, and Richard Johnson. And
Oh,
I'm going through it right now, and I don't see any appearance by Vincent Price. Yeah, he wasn't in that. But I think Vincent Price, of course, did a lot of horror movies, so I could be wrong. And the Legend of Hell House was 1974. It was in color, and that starred Roddy McDowall, among others. Okay,
Edge of Time
and
is also saying Vincent Price might also be in the black and white Hell House.
I'm looking it up. Bear with me here.
All right. Hey, no worries. Getting
I
it
don't see
verified.
one listed. I don't see a black and white Hill House listed unless it had a different name. Let me check Hill House.
Oh, that might be it, or maybe not. I don't know. I remember I
Um,
downloaded. I
there it
had a
is.
Vincent
House on.
Price
Well,
collection.
how about House on Haunted Hill? That's Vincent Price.
There you go. That's the one. Okay.
Yep, I think that's one you. Yeah, Vincent Price. I love Vincent Price. He did so many movies. Yeah,
Oh, he was
about
iconic. Yeah.
yeah, House on Haunted Hill. A millionaire offers $10,000 to five people who agree to be locked in a large, spooky rented house overnight with him and his wife. I would do that. I'm
Oh,
not
me too.
afraid.
100%.
Okay, now let me
Phantom
get.
Boomer. Good to see ya.
Hey, Phantom Boomer. Let me get back to that here. I'm going through my internet and movie database to look at these
Oh,
movies.
here I can highlight it.
Thank you.
He said, "This is my kind of movie." Well, like, come on up here.
Let's see. Jedi Bill says hello, pop culture. Oli Greg says hello, everyone. Edge of Time says the haunting movie is based on the haunting of Hill House. That's the problem. Is those titles are so close. Hill House and Hill House. A lot of people get them mistaken. I like both the new and the black and white version. Edge of Time says Vincent Price might also be in the black and white Hill House. No, he was in the. What did I just say? The haunting of.
The
Now
Haunting
I'm
of
getting
Hill House. No,
no.
no. See, this is why I got confused. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going through too many. Oh, there's The Haunting, which is not with Vincent Price, and A House on Haunted Hill. That's the one with Vincent
House on.
Price.
Yeah.
1959. All right. And Phantom Boomer, there he is. This is my kind of movie. Yeah, Phantom Boomer, just like Gorilla said, you're welcome to join the panel if you'd like. Edge of Time says, yep. Edge of Time says, I'm more familiar with the books. Edge of Time, let me know if you read The Legend of Hell House by Richard Matheson, because I read it and I haven't met anybody else who's read it. Phantom Boomer says, howdy all. Edge of Time says, the house on
Hey,
Horror Hill. And
Cam
hello, Cam
Cam.
Cam. Hello, everyone. Jedi Bill. Hey, Bill. Good to see you, brother. And Cam Cam, I feel bad. Last night you came in just as I was ending my Lost in Space stream. So I'm sorry I missed you, but I'm glad you're here now so I can say hello. Edge of Time says, hi, Cams. Cam Cam says, Edge of Time, hail and well met. Okay, so a little bit of background. Incredible Shrinking Man, 1957. The book was written by Richard Matheson, who also worked on the screenplay, which helps a lot. That way, you've been able to stick at least relatively close to the book. And it stars Grant Williams and Randy Stewart. And I think the last living survivor who just passed away not too long ago was William Shallard, who plays his first doctor. I'll point him out in the movie. He actually lived a long life. And he did a lot of roles as a doctor, interestingly enough. Um, the book was written as a series of flashbacks so that you got into the cellar with the Scott Carey is the protagonist, the main guy in the book. A lot of Richard Matheson's books were written about a man against all odds. He also wrote, I'm sure you guys saw the movie Duel with Steven Spielberg movie with the truck, the guy driving the car and the truck that was trying to kill him. I can't remember the actor's name now. But yeah, he wrote Duel among many other things. So that's why he wrote a lot of things. Like I said, it was usually a man against something evil or a man against some like ghosts or monsters or an evil killer truck or something like that. Dennis Weaver, that's who started it. Took me a second to remember. So the book was written as a series of flashbacks. So you got into the cellar with Scott Quigley. Universal insisted on a linear story. They also vetoed key sequences, such as Scott spending the night with a female midget, which we'll see in the movie, a drunk homosexual who abuses Scott. So aren't you glad you didn't see that gorilla?
What
And a
was
gang
that?
of teen. Do you remember? Can you guys watch this movie? You remember when he came across the circus and he ends up meeting that midget girl? You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, he slept with her, but Universal
Oh, come on,
insisted
let's
on.
cut that. Come on, man. Ah, now.
I know they didn't want to show him cheating on his wife, and also he was taken advantage of by a drunk homosexual in the circus.
Well, they applied it. They implied it enough that he was cheating on her. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah,
With
they
the
did.
girl?
They really did. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, but they're not going to really show it too much, right? Almost like they look like almost like a date, like dating kind of thing. They also did not allow a gang of teenagers who terrorized him, and him becoming a peeping tom, secretly spying on a teenage girl babysitter. These were all rejected as too risque for 1957. So
I mean, I can
yeah.
see the last. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, oh, yeah. I'm good. Oh well. I mean, the movie was kind of boring overall, so it might have spiced things up.
Well, and also another thing that the book had too was him doubting his manhood with his wife. In the movie they say, I miss my wife. You can kind of tell he's hinting that he misses being romantic with his wife, but they went in a little more detail in the book because he doubted it, like his size and his manhood and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, they're not going
Oh,
to show that in
brutal.
1957. And Phantom Boomer says, thanks,
Yeah.
but I'm multitasking, grabbing screen cap for my thing. Very cool, Phantom Boomer. Well, I'm just glad you're here. Check out Older Greg's channel. There's a link there. Edge of Time says, I didn't like the book Hell House. The tropes were too well adapted elsewhere, making it predictable. Well, yeah, you're right. Well, after that, you probably read a lot of things that borrowed from it. But I thought it was pretty good because it was actually, there was a lot in the book that were not included in the movie because, once again, it was too risque for the time, even if it was 1974. And Phantom Boomer says, Dennis Weaver. Yes, you're correct. Dennis Weaver starred in um, Duel. And Cam Cam says, Pop Culture Curator, great to see you all. All good, Pop. Thanks. Well, I'm glad you're here, Cam Cam. And Cam Cam says, Phantom Boomer greets. I thought I might see you. Yep, you came to the right place. And yes, Phantom Boomer wrote I Am Legend, which, of course, like I mentioned, is another story about a man against the odds. And we all know, or at least most of us understand, how famous that went on to be. Even though they've never made one good movie, really, really good, based closely on the story. The closest we got was, I guess, kind of a mixture between the Vincent Price version and the Charlton Heston version. The
Oh, you
Will
didn't like
Smith.
the Will Smith version?
Oh hell no, deplorable. Nobody liked that movie, especially
Oh, him
where
running
the
around slapping vampires and whatnot.
You mean cartoons?
Yeah.
Yeah, the CGI was so bad. They were cartoons pretty much. It was like they were like animated, uh, fast running zombie. Anyway, it strayed so far from the book that it was ridiculous. In the book, they were more like the Georgia, because obviously it also we're talking about I Am Legend. It also influenced George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, and that's closer to how they were in the book. They were slow and shambling when they would walk, but in the book they could
Interesting.
talk. In the book, yes, they could talk. They were outside his house saying, "Come out, Neville! Come out, Neville!" And they were trying to entice him into going out of his house.
Were they intelligent?
Yes, they were intelligent. They remembered him. Some of them were his neighbors. One woman lifted up her dress trying to entice him. He saw her through the window. So yeah, they were trying every means to get him out of his house.
Oh yeah, I agree, William. Yeah, that's okay. That's really cool. Sorry, I was looking at Phantom Boomers. Will just slapped the zombies away. That's right. Yeah, Will Smith just walked up and said, "Don't talk about my wife," and he slapped the zombies, even though they all had alopecia too.
Yeah, Will Smith as Will Smith, starring in Will Smith, the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll talk about one note actor, but thankfully, hopefully, we won't see him anymore. And Oleg Greg says, thanks, Pop. Well, you are quite welcome, Oleg Greg. Phantom Boomer says, hi, Cam Cam. And Edge of Time says, I think the Price movie, Last Man on Earth, is I Am Legend, but my accuracy isn't very good. Yes, it is. The Last Man on Earth is loosely based on I Am Legend. Um, I do like that movie with Vincent Price. It was actually The Last Man on Earth is not bad, but it's just that it's very, very, very toned and watered down from the story. And by the way, it's just a story. It's not even a book. So if you ever want to, if you guys ever want to experience I Am Legend, you can get a book. You can pick up a Richard Matheson book, and it's part of a collection of short stories in one book. I highly recommend it. Phantom Boomer says Will Smith version sucked. Well, in my opinion, everything Will Smith did sucks. Phantom Boomer says, "Who will just stop the?" Yeah, there we go. Slap the zombies away. And Ola Greg says, "I like the Heston version." Yeah, so did I. The Omega Man. But that was, of course, more like an action, more towards like an action flick rather than being like a horror. And Phantom Boomer says, "I like the." Oh, sorry, we already read that one. Let me star that and hide it. Okay, so we have our movie starting, and of course, it's a Universal International picture. And because, as everybody knows, Universal has a history of being highly invested in the horror movies. And that's another thing. Yeah, it's another thing. We were going to eventually, I want to cover the classic Universals like Frankenstein, Dracula, and Creature from the Black Lagoon, and all that stuff.
Let's do it up. I love it.
Here we got our title and our foreshadowing of the radiation cloud.
The cloud. Oh, I didn't even realize.
It's funny, all the things radiation do to people in movies, right? It'll turn you into like a Spider-Man. It'll turn you into a superhero. It'll make you a shrinking man, but in real life, you'll just rot and decay and die.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as fancy as it sounds. Everybody, don't try to expose yourself intentionally.
What? Oh, that's just like it's bad news all around. Don't do that.
Produced by Albert Ariel and directed by Jack Arnold. Gorilla. You might recognize that name, Jack Arnold. He produced and writes a lot of our Gilligan's Island episodes.
Okay.
So yeah, when we watch Gilligan's Island, whenever his name popped up, it says produced by Sherwood Schwartz, and then produced by Jack Arnold. Some of them are directed by Jack Arnold. And I mentioned this movie that he directed this as well as Creature from the Black Lagoon, as many other classics as well. So I'm a big fan of Jack Arnold. Here we have our opening scene on the beautiful ocean, a sunny day, and we have Scott Carey and his wife on the boat on vacation.
They call that a swimsuit. They should have had her in a bikini.
That is a swimsuit from the 50s, though.
Yeah, I was going to show. They're not going to show a bikini. In fact, I could be wrong.
Like the closest we get to skin is the midget girl when she walks up and she's got her legs all like exposed and she's wearing the long jacket.
Yeah, and I'm going to see if I can do this quickly without spending a lot of time. Let me see here.
Oh,
because I guess that's
she's quite the looker. She's quite the looker, Phantom Boomer.
Yeah, while you're doing that, Phantom says special credit to Ray Anthony. And Phantom says she looks pretty fit. And Oiler Greg is ignoring the girl and saying nice boat.
I always wish I could own a boat. That looks pretty nice. It does. And
technically, I own a boat. I just have to pump it up first.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Or if you want to get technical, I think I still got Owen's bath toy, so I got a couple votes there.
Captain Gorilla.
Captain Gorilla. By the way, the bikini was invented in July 5th, 1946. So it was around when the movie was made, but I don't think Hollywood would have allowed for it.
Well, if they were really worried about like implying anything sexual between the midget girl and what's his face, and like, well, of course, the being taken advantage of and that whatnot, they're not gonna. Oh, she probably didn't even want to be in a bikini. She probably.
No, they can't be worried about too much. His shorts are shorter than hers.
Yeah, see, there's eye candy for both sexes. It's great.
Well, that's just it. She's not. When you think about it, she's not in a bathing suit at all. She's just in shorts, a belt, and a blouse. So they did have
Yeah,
onesies
that's a
that
really
showed
good
more
point.
skin. Yeah, they had onesies that showed more skin back then. I think what they're doing, honestly, if I'm trying to, of course I wasn't around. I wasn't even alive when this was made. But I think they were trying to avoid the audience's attention on her. I think you're supposed to be looking at him because he's the star of the movie and what's going to be happening to him coming up. And here's where the two are kind of bantering back and forth that he wants a beer and she doesn't want to go down and get it. Of course, I don't blame her. It'd be nice laying out there on the boat.
Oh, dude, for sure, right? Be like, go get your own beer.
Yeah, that's what she pretty much told him.
I know, I loved it.
He's just sucking up to her. There he is doing some major sucking up,
And she's having none of it. It's great. She's a strong. People talk about strong female characters. My goodness, here you go, right here.
We've always had strong female characters. It's not until the 1970s is when they started making men weaker and weaker and weaker. That started in the 70s, and now it's even worse than it ever was. Now it's like full blast making men like women. So it started out making men weaker and weaker, and now it's just they're making them all feminine. They're not allowed to show strong males at all anymore. And there's Scully. Hey guys, good to see you. Oh, almost forgot this one. Phantom Boomer says I had a catamaran for a while. Well, that sounds like fun.
What's a catamaran?
It's like isn't that the one that's like skinny boat and it's made like it's for fast? Let me see here.
I'm not. I have no nautical knowledge, man. I'm terrified of the open ocean. You won't get me out on there. You won't get me on a screw.
Yeah,
it's like even just go out there with a girl. No thanks. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's like a sailboat. And it looks like it has two hulls with like a connector. If anybody's seen Waterworld, that's what Kevin Costner is going around on Waterworld. But it's like a skimmer. I think they're made for a lot of them are made for racing, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. See, that's where we're opposites, Nemesis. Like, I want to go deep sea fishing and all that, but knowing my luck, I'd get like a big old swordfish there, and that's about the time that the chair would decide to break and drag me along wherever that fish wants to go.
Well, I think
My man, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, for deep sea fishing, they have things that you fasten your rod to, so it's not your body taking the brunt of the weight.
Yeah, but they strap you into the chair also.
Well, yeah, you are, but I'm saying is that a lot of people aren't strong enough to fight the fish, and especially when they get older.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to fight the fish. I've got a terrible back. That's the whole thing. The reason I haven't even gone deep sea fishing.
Right. So if you're in any modern day boat that has where you can mount your fishing pole and strap it to as a mount, you brace it where it'll hold it, and all you have to do is reel it in. Skogly says, "Hey guys, good to see you, Skogly." Cam says, "I read the story and I like both movies." All right, so Cam and I both read the story. Oh, I think he's talking about I Am Legend. Well, Greg says, "Hi, Cam." And Lemon Pie says, "What's up, fellas? Good to see you, Lemon Pie. I'm glad you could make it." Cam's Crash Course says, "Make me sandwich, baby." Phantom Boomer says, 2 holes. Yes, there it is, 2 holes. Thank you, Phantom Boomer. And Edge of Time says, "Hi." And Phantom Boomer says, "Trampoline in between." Oh, a trampoline. That's interesting. Phantom Boomer says, "They are fast if you know how to run one. Get it up on one hole." Yeah, I have seen that before. I used to watch races when I was a kid. And Lemon Pie says, "Hello, Edge." And Phantom Boomer says, "Hello, Lemon Pie." Cam says, "Lemon Pie, howdy." And Oleg Greg says, "Beware of fog offshore. It's an unpleasant experience, right? Especially when it's radioactive." Or especially if you only have a compass and map. Yes, you better know That's another thing too. Is I know nothing about using the stars to guide by, so I would be up the creek if I got out there at night. And Oleg Ray says, "Do you hear rocks?" I don't know. Do you hear rocks? I guess I need to listen closer. I wish we could play audio, but of course, if I do, we'll get stricken. But here we are. They're joking back and forth about the beer, and he tells her that if he'll buy dinner if she'll get the beer, so she agrees to that. And now he's just joking with her, saying that he wants a flagon of beer, and she says, "We're all out of flagons. It'll have to be a can." That's like a little barrel that the pirates used to drink out of, like a wooden little barrel. And she said, no, it'll have to be a can. And of course, back then, beer cans were tin, everybody. They were not aluminum. We're not going, sir. We're going to home at the end. This is where he says he wants to take her somewhere. And she says, no, sir. We're going home at the end of the week. So their vacation will soon be over. And now she heads down there to grab some beers. And as he's laying there, he notices the boat is heading into this cloud. Which I guess he notices it looks very suspicious, which I guess it kind of does. And I like the effects because I'm glad that the fog casts a shadow on the water. A lot of times they don't take that detail into consideration, so I'm glad it did.
Now this is where I will have rewritten it just slightly.
How's that?
So instead of having like a radioactive cloud, especially one that's just random and that small hit them, I've had like maybe like asteroid or a comet comes down here, and then he's getting rained on by particles from it, and as it hits the water and stuff, not enough to cause like a tsunami or anything, but enough to get sprinkled with this dust and make up like make a fake element, that gets sprinkled with. That's the reason it's causing. That way, it doesn't give people the ideas of mixing, like some kind of radiation cloud, and insecticide. Maybe they'll shrink, No, nobody.
Back in those days, when people saw things like this, they didn't believe that it was real, and go out and try to look for a radiation cloud.
No, but what I'm saying is,
these days I know they will. But...
Yeah, it's something like this. I would have done some that. Do the different element to give it a little more sci-fi look to it than just something random. That and I think it'd make it a lot more interesting story that they're dealing with like an extraterrestrial like element problem versus some Earth-made element problem, radioactive problem.
Well, in 1957, when this was made, a lot of movies seem to center their problems around either radioactivity or atomic. So it was kind of like a running theme back then. And I'm thinking, too, that if they were going to show it like as a meteorite coming down, I mean, that would burn him if pieces were landing on him because it's usually hot.
Oh, well, yeah.
It is possible.
Coming in at like high-speed velocity, and even if the meteorite hit far away, it would cause a tidal wave. If it hit close, the shock wave would kill
I'm not talking like a big one that causes tsunami, but like a small one where you get just a tiny little dust, but that dust is so like either radioactive, like a new radioactive element there that's caused this, or something, not enough to cause any kind of destructive power that almost where you wouldn't even detect, but enough that it just happened to be landing right next to their boat.
Yeah, and it landing next to their boat, the heat causes the steam of the water, and that's the radioactive versus just like and that's how the fog is created, and it's
radioactive. Because it stands right now. I guess we don't know where the fog came from. It's kind of mysterious.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever established in the movie where it came from. It was just the fog.
Yeah, they never established it.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be more interesting if it had the extraterrestrial element to it than versus just here's a random radioactive fog that just happens to be here and it's just about the size of the boat. I don't know. I'm just nitpicking.
That's fine.
Yeah, all right. But that's the first thing I thought of when I seen this. Phantom Boomer says, I stayed in the bay, was only a 15-footer.
Oh, okay, nice.
Cam says, you wear a harness with a strong point to brace the rod, and then you get strapped to the fighting chair. Yeah, and that's by luck. The chair would break.
I've always wanted to do deep sea fishing.
Yeah. Well, Greg says, wise of you. Well, you're in a better position than I am. I'd still have to travel 2,000 miles to the ocean.
Yeah, and I'm right next to the ocean, being in California, but unfortunately now we've got so much radiation from the Fukushima blast in Japan that you can't trust any of the fish here anymore.
That's fair, but you can still do catch and release.
I know, but what's the point? I always wanted to catch something and then actually either take it home and eat it, or I don't know. But I do
Oh,
catch and
see, that's
release, even
always
when I go to.
I
Go
do.
ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, well, I do go fishing at lakes and stuff where I do catch and release as well.
Okay.
But I always wanted to catch
I,
something exotic like swordfish or something, and then be able to take it home and eat it.
Oh, swordfish is delicious.
I know, and
that's
very
fair. I
expensive.
can.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Twisted
if you
fucking
caught your
tongue.
own, for sure.
yeah. I don't think I would stuff it and put it on the wall. I'm not into that kind of thing. I think that looks ridiculous. But I know some people do that sort of thing. So here's where we have Scott Carey
Oh,
try to get in the boat before the flood
yeah.
passed over, but he's too late. So as we can see, that looks like it drops some what looks like glitter on him. And his wife comes up and notices that something's going on, and she saw the cloud, and she sees all this on him. But fortunately, you notice she's smart enough not to touch it or try to wipe it off his chest. He does that himself.
And see, that's where this would all fit in. But let's catch up on the chats. We got quite a few of them here.
Cool. Thank
Captain
you.
Booner says, blonde leading, blind, blonde
Blonde.
leading man. Okay, there usually is an E at the end of blonde.
That's
Blonde
okay.
leading men were a bit rare back in the day.
Yeah, and I can, let me address that. I was thinking about that too because you're right. Most of them are dark haired, but I think, that, in my opinion, I think the reason why he had blonde hair is because I think it helped because they did a lot of blue screen photography for this for a lot of the special effects, and I think the black hair wouldn't have shown up as well. That's why he tends to wear light clothing as he starts shrinking. So I'm just guessing, but I could be wrong. Sorry, go ahead, Gorilla. Thank you.
All right. And then Phantom Boomer says, Ellen Ladd.
Alan
Greg
Ladd.
says, foolish to stay outside of the cabin.
Yeah, but to his defense, it just looks like fog rolling at you. I highly doubt he was like, "Oh, that's probably radioactive, and it's going to turn me into a freak in about you know,
Right,
3 weeks."
Well, he got up. Right, he did get up and headed towards the rear of the boat, which most people probably wouldn't even do. I imagine if you're laying on the boat and a cloud of fog came along, you'd probably just lay there and let it pass over you.
That's what I would assume. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like this will pass.
Yep.
Alrighty, Nemesis is thanking everybody for being here.
Yes,
Cam
thanks everyone.
says, yeah, a little suspicious. Saying howdy to Nemesis. Resolute Germs channel does a lot of watch parties. Greg says radioactive clouds are probably common in the 50s.
Hopefully not.
How far away are they from Bikini Atoll?
Well, see, that's just it. After what happened with Japan and all the testing, that's why radioactivity was so prevalent in movies for a long time. Even Godzilla. I mean, this is around the same time Godzilla came out, the first one.
Yeah. If you could have any steel that was made before World War II, they're paying top buck for that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it's different.
That's why they're scouring the seafloors for all the old warships that were sunk, because they're pre-radio. Like any steel that's made after 1945 has some kind of radio contaminant in it that actually weakens the steel. So they're paying big money for that pre-World War II or that pre-World War II steel because it doesn't have that radioactive contaminant.
Yeah, but isn't it most of it? Like the Titanic, isn't most of it like degraded and rusted and everything?
I think they're going after
eaten by bacteria.
Yeah, I think they're trying to go after the warships that were sunk.
Okay.
The Titanic wasn't really meant. They took so many shortcuts on that.
The metal deteriorates underwater. The salt water is what I'm saying. Even it affects steel as well. But I can see that there'd be a lot of metal left, like in guns and things like that. Things that they were solid and heavy.
Yeah, and like your battleships and all that, they're meant to withstand a lot of stuff, so they're a lot less degraded than a lot of your common commercial ships.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, Phantom Boomer says only normally split up. One going to the attic, the other one going to the basement. Nerds know better. And Cam saying hi to Nemesis there. Skogly says, "Hail, giant."
Hail
Hi,
giant.
Cam.
Yeah. And Oiler Greg says in Houston the attic is 150 degrees and we don't have basements.
Yeah, that's how it is in California. Basements are very rare, and the attics are very hot.
Yeah.
Is that just
And
because
they're
of tectonic activity, Pop?
What's that?
The basements. Why are there no basements in California? Or are they rare?
Because, well, the reason why basements were originally invented were like people like who live in like tornado areas where they could run down there and hide from the elements. And we don't have that kind of weather, that kind of extreme weather in California. There's a few older houses. I have lived in houses that have had basements, and most of those houses are like 100 years old. But no modern house. I think they stopped making basements with houses like in the 1920s.
and they
There's just
probably stopped making them when they got refrigerators also because they don't need the cool like a cool basement for to store your fruits and stuff.
well before we had refrigerators, we had ice boxes,
Yeah. But I know they used
which
to
is
like I still got shelves in my basement there for where people used to store fruits.
right fruits, wines, things like that.
Yeah.
Is there any more chat, or are we caught up?
Just a couple more here. Here's Nemesis channel. Phantom says not many basements in SoCal either. If we had them, Newsom would outlaw them. It's Googly saying Cam. Fish are evil anyway. Rumor is radioactive fish gives you superpowers.
Well, you can always hope.
Hey, Oiler Greg, you test that out and let us know how it works, all right?
Yeah, call us from the hospital.
Yeah. And Hail Lemon. He said hail to all of us here.
All right, good to see
And
Lemon.
he's saying howdy to everybody there. Phantom Boomer says good guess. Cam says always go up. You can break through the roof. I fished Chesapeake Bay and the Outer Banks Cape. Oh, nice.
Yeah, that does sound nice.
Does Stryker wear a wig? It looks real to me from UFO.
I don't know.
Yeah, here's
Yeah,
my
exactly.
channel.
Yeah, check out Gorilla's Random Thoughts channel, everybody.
Yeah. And according to Edge of Time, half of all tuna cans are positive for Fukushima radiation.
I'm not surprised. Well, they radiate our
Yeah,
meat now, so what's the difference?
yeah there's a Hungry Boys channel. It says if you are on the front of a small boat in fog and anything happens, you can easily fall overboard. You need to move to a secure location. Another boat could hit. Yeah.
Oh, that's true, right? Blindsided.
Yeah. And Scotch, cheers all, says Lemon. And soil shifts too much in some areas to build basements.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. With the earthquakes, yeah, I would not be surprised.
yeah, we have to have basements here. Like my house could probably withstand. Well, back in the day, could probably withstand an F2, but I'm not sure about nowadays. But it's a nice brick house. So, other Greg says cheers. And our last chat here, Houston has tornadoes, but it's built on a swamp. Yeah, I've been to Houston one time.
Yeah, that didn't sound like it'd be very stable. I like Texas. I used to, for a long time, because I'm in California now, and for the long time, I wanted to retire to Texas because I've been there and I like it. But now they've got all those crazy California people moving there. You couldn't pay me to move to Texas. Just give them 5 years, maybe 10 at the most, and they'll be banning guns like they did here. And next thing you know, you guys will have your cities turning into San Francisco. That's the whole point, is to turn your cities into wastelands. So here we have the mailman delivering milk. That's a rare thing. That's something you don't see anymore, guys. And I barely remember as a kid. I remember that we had this guy that went around and delivered milk and butter, and this was like late 60s. But then it was quickly phased out. Of course, people just started going to the grocery store, and of course now these days, I mean, besides all that, people would be stealing your stuff. People are so horrible. That stuff wouldn't last out there at all. So she says hi to the milkman, and she gives the cat a little bit of milk. Come on, Butch. I guess the cat's name is Butch.
Nothing like a little diarrhea.
Perfect name for. Well, if the cat's used to the milk, it won't give him diarrhea. It's like if the cat hasn't had milk for years, then all of a sudden he gave it milk. That's when he started having problems.
Yes, I agree. And by the way, up until just about 15 years ago, I had a refrigerator just like that, a fabulous 50s refrigerator, and I loved it. And the only reason why, when I moved out of the house that I was living in, the only reason why I didn't take it with me is because it is so heavy. It's like moving a safe, but it is much, much colder than a regular refrigerator. Your food, like you put something in the freezer, it gets frozen fast. And it was actually more efficient than a modern day refrigerator. They talk about modern day refrigerators when they're much thinner. They don't insulate as well. But unfortunately, the bad news is little kids used to get locked inside those things and suffocate. So of course they stopped having them. But they worked well. I loved my fabulous 50s refrigerator. And it looks like she's got orange juice there. She's getting ready for breakfast. And she's talking to Scott, her husband, who's upstairs getting dressed. And he's asking her, I guess he just got his clothes back, and they're, for some reason, they seem to be, he's already noticing that his clothes are getting bigger and bigger on him, or he's getting smaller and smaller. And of course, at this point, he doesn't quite know what's going on. And she thinks he's just been losing weight because of a diet. And of course, even his arms seem shorter now because his shirt seems to be oversized. I don't know why the slides aren't picking up much of the subtitles. I apologize for that. And of course, he puts a jab at her when she talks about losing weight. He says maybe it's the cooking around here. And of course, she knows it's just a joke. So she said, well, thanks a lot. Drink your juice. And you notice even his collar is loose. And he goes to the doctor to get a check. And this is the actor I mentioned, William Shallert. He lived a what's funny is William Shallert, I mean, he did a lot of movies and TV shows back in the day in the 50s. But he always played older characters. So that's why when I found out that he lived as long as he did, I was highly surprised because I thought he was much older than he actually was. Even in this movie here, as a doctor, they put gray in his hair to make him look older than he was. Let's see here. Let me get the info here really quick. But I know he died in 2016. I know now that's like a long time ago, but he lived the longest out of all of them. Okay, and so here we have him measuring Scott Carey and telling him that he's 5'9". And Scott Carey says, but I've always been 5'11". And also he's lost. I could be wrong on the numbers.
Yeah, because he's down to 5'11". I thought he was 6'2".
Oh, down to 5'11". That's it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he was 6'2".
Yeah, I was hoping that. Of course, it's hard to catch all the subtitles on the slide, so I was hoping to catch the details of that. So thank you. I appreciate it. All right, here we go. And of course, the doctor isn't really taking him quite seriously because at this point, he'd have no reason to believe something incredible as him shrinking. So the doctor is chalking the whole thing up to him just probably losing weight from the diet, just like the wife was doing. And this is where he notices and he mentions, I've never lost that much weight. I have when I got food poisoning. All you guys, if you guys ever want to take a crash diet, get food poisoning. It's very, very effective. But I don't recommend it. It's very painful and it's no fun at all. Or I very much doubt if you've been losing weight, Mr. Carey. Of course, the doctor just doesn't think it's plausible. And he asks him how many physical examinations has he had. And he basically mentions on the draft board, the Navy, a life insurance physical. Well, that's something they don't do anymore, life insurance physicals. It's possible there might have been errors made on all of them as regards to your height. That doesn't seem likely, but okay. But the doctor mentions that it's possibly during the time of day because he says that you're taller in the morning than you are in the evening. And of course, if you stood erect, you'd measure out as taller than you actually are. And here's where he mentions people decreasing in height during the day because spinal compression. At 2 inches, he tells the doctor 2 inches, but of course the doctor pretty much brushes him off, and he says, "I wouldn't worry about it, Mr. Carey. As far as I can see, you're in perfect health. You likely lost a little weight due to an insufficient diet, but people don't get shorter, Mr. Carey. They just don't get shorter. They actually do, but just not that quick. When people get older, their body does get shorter. So, like, for your example, if you're 6 foot when you're 20 years old, you could shrink down to like 5'8", anything like that when you get like in your 70s and 80s. People don't get, there we go, we already said that. And here we have later on that evening, he puts on his pajamas, which obviously don't seem to be fitting him very well. And she's talking to him about work. And he had her by a scale, and he just weighed himself, and he's lost another 4 pounds.
All right.
Yes, Gorilla, did you have something you want to add?
I was debating on whether should we catch up on chats.
Yeah, go for it. Thank you.
All right, here's Sean Carter's channel. Scogli says, imagine crazy zombies you'd see in Fallout San Francisco. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Phantom,
That would be an improvement.
yeah, Phantom there says, my last trip to Texas was to Pasadena in the summertime. 100 plus degrees and 95% humidity.
Oh, yeah, that's the South for you.
Yeah. Phantom says, I remember the milkman. We also had a ragman and a fruit and veggie vendor on the horse-drawn cart. This was early 50s in upstate New York.
Very cool.
My mom had a ringer washer, says Phantom.
My mom did too when I was young, a ringer washer. My brother stuck his hand in the ringers.
Yeah. Then we got the underground there for LDGs. Euler Greg says, Indy hid in Pop's fridge during the nuclear burst.
Oh, yeah, right. Nuke the fridge.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a bad movie. And we picked a new, we thought that was a bad movie. Just hold my beer and wait till you see the new one coming out from Disney, right?
All right.
And Phantom Boomer, you are right. Schaller did do a lot of voiceover work, a lot of acting, and a lot of voiceover work. The man was very prolific.
Yeah. And here's Jim's landscaping channel. And Cam says, my dad lived in Port Arthur, Texas, south of Houston, now stationed at Fort Sam in San Antonio.
I like San Antonio. I was stationed there when I was in the military, when I was in the Air Force at the Lackland Air Force Base. That does it, my boy. You're going to start taking vitamins, says the wife. I don't think that's going to fix it. And she says, well, then we'll see the doctor. And here's where he tells her that he already saw a doctor, that she didn't know that. And she asked him when, and he said a week ago. But of course, she's telling him it's just his imagination. And now he's telling her that when she kisses him, that she doesn't have to stand on her tiptoes. She used to have to. And he said, you didn't have to stretch. You used to stand on your toes. So she looks down, and it looks like even his pants look like they're oversized. So it looks like maybe now concern is finally starting to hit her. But they still, of course, it sounds so fantastic that they still don't really accept it. We'll go back to the doctor tomorrow. I'm sure he's got a pill for it. Of course, he's saying that just to calm her down. And of course, he's talking to the cat. Don't worry, Butch. Everything's going to be all right. Go to bed. Funny how it's a normal, docile house cat, and what it ends up being later. And here we have his doctor comparing x-rays. And he holds up 2 sets, and he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a difference in size. And he notices that there was a And this has been a long week, Dr. Bram said. I must have worn out your machine. I need two full sets of pictures, spaced several days apart, he said. I had to compare them before I could be sure. And they asked him what the results are. And he says, "You are getting smaller. I don't profess to understand it, Mr. Carey." By the way, um, quick note of trivia: Ant Man. That's why Ant Man's first name is Scott, because it was also influenced by this movie and this book. So that's why this is Scott Carey, and Ant Man's name is Scott. I don't remember his last name. I used to be a fan of the comic books, but what Disney has done to it, I don't. I just don't care anymore. But yeah, Ant Man was also influenced by this as well. And here's the doctor says there's no medical precedent for what's happening to you. Pictures prove it beyond any doubt. But that's impossible. That's what we've always believed, Mrs. Carey. And he says he's going to send him to the California Medical Research Institute. And as we all know, that's not going to do him any good. All they're able to do is examine him. I mean, they don't have any kind of cure for it, obviously, when they don't even know what the problem is. And here's with he has a specialist, and he says, "I drank a barium solution and stood behind a fluoroscope screen." So from this point of the movie onward, we're going to get a lot of narration. And in a way, it's kind of good because a lot of it is straight from the book. So I thought that was kind of cool. He gave me radioactive iodine, which they still do now, and an examination with a Geiger counter. Well, I don't know if they would do that. I had electrodes fastened to my head, water restriction tests, protein bond tests, eye tests, blood cultures. Then one day in the third week of the final examination, his doctor calls him in and he's checking results. And he says, "I think the strip should be dry by now. We should find phospholipid." And I'm going to point out amino acids, cholesterol, creatinine, and protein. These are the elements most commonly found on the strip. Now, for any old people like me, the doctor on the left there, you guys might recognize him as Mr. Drysdale from the Beverly Hillbillies. So he basically goes from being a doctor to a banker. He died poor, bitter. His wife went in and found him on the kitchen floor. So that's how he ended up dying in real life. This one doesn't belong, he notices. So he puts it under a microscope. It certainly doesn't belong. Here, take a look. And he asks the other doctors to take a look, and now he's going over the results with the Careys. Of the molecular structure of the cells in your body, you mean like a cancer? And he says, no more like an anti-cancer, causing a diminution of all the organs. So, of course, this is where he's being told that they understand what's going on, but they don't know how to stop it. They've never seen it before. And, of course, that's the first thing the doctor says. Have you ever been accidentally exposed to any kind of germ spray, in particular an insecticide, or a great deal of it? And now they ask him insecticide, and he said, exactly. So they're trying to remember. And the wife remembers that he was exposed to some insecticide about 2 months ago. And he says, I was walking in a truck turn and it was spraying trees. So what they're trying to say is perhaps maybe that it wasn't just a radioactive cloud. Maybe it was a combination of that and the insecticide, or maybe it wasn't the insecticide and it was a radiation cloud. We never really find out for sure.
Well, the radiation changed the insecticide, is what happened.
That's what I'm saying. It could have been a combination of both of them that caused it, is what they're trying to say. But they don't really, they're speculating, so we don't really ever find out for sure.
Yeah. And that'd be one hell of a lawsuit. They're sitting there spraying trees and they're going to end up spraying him with insecticide. That'd be one hell of a lawsuit.
Well, these days, it'd be easy to sue for something like that. Back in 1957, probably not. You didn't have a lot of frivolous lawsuits back then like they do now. So
yeah, that'd be like endangerment, though. That'd be like endangering your health. Like the city here will tell you, make sure you and your pets are all indoors by 9 o'clock on certain nights every 2 weeks, and they do when they spray for mosquitoes and stuff. They make sure they have to announce everybody stay inside, just so you don't have that issue, because that can be considered endangerment.
Well, now we're a lot more aware of what insecticides do. They weren't as aware as much back and then, and I think the difference is back then. Like, let's say, okay, he didn't say where the trees were being sprayed, but let's just say it was a public park. Back then, if they were spraying a public park, and if you walk into the spray, the court's probably going to say, "Well, that's your fault because you were dumb enough to walk into the spray." Now they would go after whatever company was spraying the spray and find out what the insecticide was and put them out of business and all that. Unless it's Monsanto, then Monsanto is going to put them out of business.
Yeah. Well,
But back then, they expected people to be more responsible.
Yeah. He said he was walking down an alley to a store.
Right, but I'm saying the trees, we don't know like if they were on the sidewalk or they were in a park. And if a truck was spraying the trees, I'm guessing it was a lot of trees because if it's like just one tree, it's just going to be one person with a sprayer out there, I'm guessing. But who knows? You see, something happened to that insecticide after it was in your system, the doctor speculates. Something which, in layman's terms, in other words, for the audience, oh no, of course not. I don't come in contact. Now he says radiation. And then Scott says, oh no, of course I don't come in contact with anything like that. And that's when she's thinking about it. And she goes, well, that day we were on the boat and that cloud. And now he says, well, yes, now I remember the mist. And that's where they're putting two and two together. And now she's asking if she wants him to drive or if he wants her to drive. And of course he says, I'm all right. But he's starting to realize that this is going to affect his future. But she's trying to keep him cheerful. You love Scott Carey. He has a size and a shape and a way of thinking, she says. And that's changing now. Not a darn thing's changed, she says. When I married you, I meant what I said, she said. And as long as you've got this wedding ring on, you've got me.
Yeah.
Come on now, let's go home, she says.
Yeah, this was before no fault of divorce.
Well, not only that, though, I don't know if a woman would stick with him. You have women that still love their husbands, so it is still possible. So when he reaches to start the car, the wedding ring falls off of his finger, which startles both of them. And now we have this guy talking to him here. The truth is, I just lost the Bannister account. So basically what happened is Scott Carey is saying that it's affecting his job, and he's losing counts and eventually his job, unfortunately. You know how big that account was? Probably 40% of my income. It's gone now, and I just can't afford to send you your paychecks anymore, tells the boss. He's done everything that a brother possibly could. So that's right. His boss is also his brother. Look, I don't like to say this, but there have been reporters over at the plant. Looks like somebody at the medical center talked about you. And he was and then he says one reporter was from the American Press Syndicate. He said they might pay for the story if it's true. And the brother says Scott's story is going to break eventually, because obviously Scott does not want the press to know about it. But the brother says that it's going to break to the public eventually anyway. So whether you make them pay or not, they're going to make the most out of it. So basically tells him you might as well sell the story and make some money off of it. So make them pay. And he says, no, Charlie. And there he is. So, this is the beginning of them making the sets larger. This is something they don't even bother doing anymore, even with Ant-Man. Now it's all green screen. But back then, they actually started progressively making the sets larger and larger to make him look smaller. And I think that was really cool. Really good attention to detail.
Yeah.
And there was a long time that Disneyland had a lot of these props there. And when I was a kid, I always wanted to go to Disneyland, and only so I could see these props from this movie. And by the time I could afford to go to Disneyland, in other words, $1,000 a day or whatever it was, I was an adult, and these exhibits were no longer there. Sad to say, I never got to see them.
All right. Let's catch up on chats here.
Thank you, Gorilla.
Lemon says, Texas is great in many ways, but weather isn't one of them. Phantom
It
says,
does have humidity.
Yeah. Phantom says, when I was reading comics, Ant-Man was Hank Pym.
Pym. Yeah, that's exactly it. Michael Douglas's character. That's why I don't remember. Scott Lang? Now that I think about it, I think maybe it might be. Yeah, but you're right. Hank Pym was Ant-Man in the comics. And, of course, they resorted him to a joke now in the movies. I don't know why Michael Douglas accepts that paycheck. In fact, that's going to be the topic of my rumblings from the lab I'm going to do this weekend because I hear a lot of people on YouTube. Oh, well, you can't blame the actor. They're just doing their job. Well, no, I'm gonna counteract all of that because that is a bunch of bullshit. So that's a little bit of a preview of what my rumblings from the lab is going to be about this week. But yeah, Hank Pym was at Ann.
Yeah. Phantom says barium nummy.
Barium nummy.
Cam says no lock right next door. Antone was a great town, good German food. I love the hill country. Fredericksburg and Luckenbach nearby. Luckenbach, Texas.
Willie. Yeah,
Waylon Jennings.
and let's not forget Texas has Whataburger, which is fantastic, and they have some excellent barbecue.
Pop, do you want me to get you a sponsorship for Whataburger?
Yeah, I know, right? Well, it's terrible. It's really good, and yet I'll never have it again because I'm not going back to Texas. I have no plans to.
Yeah,
I do plan on leaving. Yeah, I do plan on leaving California, but unfortunately, I'm not going to go to Texas because that's where California people are all going, and I don't want to go.
Congregating around Antonio or Austin, so you'll be good.
No, they're spreading. They're spreading throughout the entire. They always start in the central Democratic area, the liberal area, which is Austin, but then they branch out to the whole state. Believe me, but that's exactly what they do. Because think about this: all the Democratic states like New York, California, Oregon, Washington, Illinois, they're heading to the conservative states. You don't see them moving to other Democratic states. They're moving to the conservative states because they want to swing the votes and they want to eliminate the Republican Party. So what they're doing is intentional. But what's sad is Republicans are letting them do it, which is worse because they're basically digging their own graves.
Well, you can't stop a person from moving to another state.
No, but some of the states are actually paying them to do it. Oklahoma was offering people $8,000 each to move there because they love that California money because they know it's about greed. They know that California people have a lot of money. That's all they care about. So California people are going up, buying everything up, and they're buying everything at double the price, which is raising the cost of living for everyone else that is already living there. Not to mention they opened the borders and they raised the crime, and now the homeless and drug population is out of control, just like California. In just a matter of a few years, it's already almost just like California. But anyway, with enough of the politics.
All right, Lemon Pie says Cam. Yeah, that whole stretch of German and Czech country. Phantom Boomer says Lachlan, Shepherd, then Edwards, then Fresno, then Van Nuys.
Van Nuys.
The A and G.
Yep, and I was stationed at Lackland and Travis and I'm from Fresno originally, so interesting you happen to mention that.
Yeah, Stream Elements is doing Euler Greg's channel. Euler Greg says Dad was born in the hill country but moved to Houston after fighting in the Korean War. There's Bird of Prey 5's channel.
Oh. Yeah, check out Bird of Prey's channel, everybody.
Yeah, what were you going to say about the last comment? Sounded like you're about to start saying something.
No, I was going to say, yeah, there's not that many hills in Texas.
Yeah. Because Little Pie, are you shrinking? Contact our law firm today. LOL, Limit. It's your job to avoid atomic clouds.
Right.
Yeah. Tuck and cover.
Yeah, that'll save the day, won't it?
Yeah, Little Pie says personal accountability. Dodge that radiation. You're screwed, buddy, says Cam. Phantom says I was shrinking, but the Euler Greg law firm got me $500,000. Euler Greg says it was her job to eliminate the cat and the spiders when he began shrinking.
Well, he tells her, did you make sure the door's locked? So yeah, it's because she forgot and left it open when she went to grab the keys in her purse.
Yeah, she did. She threw the cat's ass outside. Uh-huh. The cat decided he didn't want to be outside.
Well, it was a house cat, so it was used to being inside.
Alrighty, Cam says you're screwed. Euler Greg says we fight for you, Phantom. Hofcast channel. Cam says, cool practical effects. I'm tired of the fan blaming. Wailing and Willing and the boys. Great Tex-Mex food. Well, Greg singing. I'm guessing it was like, let's go to Lukenbach, Texas. That's the only part. I haven't listened to that song in years.
I like Texas, but I don't like Tex-Mex. I'm from California, and I prefer real Mexican food. I don't like that. Tex-Mex is basically it's food made by white people who say, "Oh, I saw a picture of a taco. Here's how you make a taco." So it's not Mexican. It doesn't have nearly the flavor that Mexican food has. But I know a lot of people prefer it.
Yeah. It says, Phantom Boomer says, I was looking at Idaho, but it. And then here's Dalek's channel. It's too damn cold. Oh, come on, Phantom. It only gets down to like 10 degrees in January. It's fine.
Yeah, that's nothing compared to what Gorilla goes through every year, right?
Oh, I don't even want to hear about cold until it's negative 40 with the negative 70 wind chill. Then we can talk cold.
That's right.
I got an uncle in
Canadian day.
Yeah, I got an uncle in Montana who's telling me move up there, but I have to get used to the cold, and I'm considering it.
Yeah. Joel Greg says they moved to Texas and we convert them to Texans. It's been happening forever.
Afraid not. I wish. Dream on.
Phantom says lived in Visalia.
Visalia is about 45 minutes outside of Fresno, just south of it.
Okay,
I have friends there.
And here's They Call Me Nobody's channel. Phantom Boomer says, Pop Culture Curator, curious, how does one get their channel mentioned on the Stream Elements rotation?
Phantom Boomer, do you have Twitter?
Yeah.
Because all you got to do is, if I can get a link to your channel, or if you can Twitter me it, I can. I'll add it to the rotation of the bot.
Yeah, and it'll cost you about $100.
but it's on sale right now for 100% off. Yeah, when I was programming the bot a few days ago, I was trying to remember all the names of the people who came to the channel, and if I forgot anybody, I apologize. And please send me your link. And I promise I will add it to the rotation, because there's a few names on there of people who haven't been on my channel in a while, and I'll take their names out and put yours in instead. So yeah, please let me know.
Yeah, and other Greg says Pop was in SG1 going through Stargates, but he can't admit it. Outside is not eliminate. Tex-Mex is made by Hispanic Texans and is excellent. Pop Culture Curator. There's a good Tex-Mex channel on YouTube run by a Tex-Mex person in South Texas.
Gotcha.
And hey, Man Science says, hi all. Pop sent a picture of your snow woman girl. Sorry to hear she melted and got ran over.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, it is April. Well, we don't need no more damn snow. I got pissed.
Oh, you're the culprit who ran her over. Oh, that explains everything.
Yeah.
Hello, mad scientist. Hope you're doing well. So good to see you. Glad you could join us.
Hey, old mad scientist. Good to see you.
Yeah,
because I was thinking, what was that bitch doing in the street anyway? Was she like trying to leave or what?
Hey, race 2000. Come on now. Well, I guess that's race 2023.
Work on the street corner and had a cheapskate. That was wrong. I apologize. Phantom Boomer says he'll send it to you.
Thank you, Phantom Boomer.
Sixth generation Texas here, so I believe I know more about Texas than a visitor.
Well, you definitely know more than I do, but I'm just saying, beware. It's like the horror movies. Beware the Californians.
Yeah, the Phantom Boomer says, Pop Culture Curator, what's your Twitter?
PC Curator.
Yeah.
Then PC Curator, all together with no spaces, all lowercase. Let me know if you find it. If you don't, in fact, I'll put a link in the. Let me put a link in the.
Yeah.
There, I put it in the chat. Hopefully that'll work on Twitter. Go ahead, Gorilla.
Yeah. Greg says cheers. There's Pleasant Valley Pickers channel. Shiner Bock is a great Texas beer. There's Skogley's channel. When I lived
Yeah,
in
I'd like
San
to go down to
Diego,
Texas one day.
when I
It'd be
lived in
neat.
Cam Cam says when I lived in San Diego, I used to go to Tijuana.
Yeah, San Diego's right down there by the border, California Mexican border.
Then Cam Cam says joints just for Texas.
Tacos.
Oh, tacos, yeah.
Right.
Picker, the pleasant, the beast. All right, now we're all caught up.
Thank you, Gorilla. So here's where Scott Carey decides that basically if you can't beat him, join him. So he takes his brother's advice and sells his story to the press. And now he's all over the press. He's on the newspaper. They're talking about him on the radio.
Oh, so it's a reality TV show nowadays.
That's what it would be, right?
Let's have 20 kids. Let's have 20 kids, and then we could be on TV.
I guess. Well, considering it's a shrinking man, it would be a mini series, right?
Hey-o.
No pun intended.
I think it's every pun intended.
So, and just like in real life, she's having to change the number because they're getting calls all day and night from a whole bunch of people. Of course, this is back when they had a landline.
What do you expect when you decide to sell your story? They should have thought of that ahead of time.
Well, no, because it was either the story was gonna get out. Do you want to make money on it, or do you just want to like let it get out? Is kind of how her brother, his brother.
And it reminded him too that he had lost his job, and so he had no money, so he had no choice.
Yeah, and that's one of those. I feel bad for him about as bad as the person who had the number 867-5309. Then there's actually people for years trying to get that number for some.
Oh yeah, dude, I can imagine. I hear that song all the time at work, and it's just like, oh my god.
Can you imagine if you had your number and also you start getting all these creepos calling you looking for Jenny?
Oh my god.
It's interesting because the singer, he went by the name Tommy Two-Tone, and he actually became a high school instructor. So here we have Scott Carey looking out the window. Has he come out yet? And how big is he? So he hears everybody talking out front, and there's the press just waiting to get a glimpse of him, just like they would be today.
Except it'd be a lot easier because we'd have like drone footage, and we'd have like high, like you could be like all the way across town with a good lens and be taking pictures of him. Like it's.
Yep, exactly. Not only that, but
computers.
Well, they would be competing for money. You would have like all the different networks, everybody trying to outbid to get the exclusive rights to his story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. Ooh.
And here we have a good example of split screen, which looks really nice and seamless. And she finally just canceled the phone altogether rather than getting all the phone calls. And now she's saying they're just going to keep trying to get through. A lot of people are. They're waiting for unlisted lines. The incredible Scott Carey, the shrinking freak. So here's where he's starting to get upset, and he's not really happy with his life and depressed. Unfortunately, he's taking out his wife, which is not a good idea.
I got a small nitpick for this here.
Yes.
You can obviously see he's gotten a lot smaller than he was there, but yet he's not struggling with anything like he used to be.
There. LDG is going to bed. So thanks for being here, LDG. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there, Gorilla, but I figured this was important.
Yeah, thanks for coming by, LDG. I didn't know he was here. Thank you, LDG.
I haven't. Okay, we'll see you. See you, Pickles. I'll come to the backstage one of these days again.
Yep, I gave you a shout out, LDG. I put your link in my Stream Element spot. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by, LDG.
Okay. But anyhow, back to the show here. the nitpick I have here is he doesn't see like he can still pick up the phone, no problem. He can still turn radio dials, absolutely no problems, and all that. Instead of showing like a slight little struggles to hold the stuff up and hold the stuff, he can still actually hold the stuff.
Well, they haven't
Yeah,
showed him lifting
there's a
anything
lot
heavy
of
yet, have they?
Well, a phone receiver there, well, to a guy this size would be about 10 times heavier than it normally would be
Well,
for.
yeah, you would have to hold it with two hands. Did they show that with him lifting it with one hand?
I'm not sure. No, but he still would have been struggling a little bit. I think they should have showed him struggling, or maybe having to use two hands to turn the radio off. But that one was one handed.
I
you'd
think
think
they
at the
saved
very
that for
least
later.
his voice, yeah, his voice would be getting higher at the very least with him
That
getting
is
smaller.
yes, that is definite, right? His voice would be getting higher as his vocal cords got smaller.
Yeah, and they don't show that until he's what 5/8 of an inch tall.
Basically,
Kind of, yeah.
yeah. When he's dead, yeah, when he's later on, like the 3/3 of the way through, 3/3, Jesus, 2/3 of the way through the film.
Yeah, several of the gigantic props, the scissors, nails, and the mousetrap, which we'll see later on, are part. They were part of the Universal Studio tour for several years. And but by the time I got there, they weren't. And there was supposed to be a sequel to this. Richard Matheson had originally written a screenplay for the sequel called The Fantastic Shrinking Girl, in which his wife, Louise Carey, begins to shrink herself. Universal had planned to produce it, but the project was eventually scrapped. And if anybody has seen the trailer for this movie, it is narrated by the famous Orson Welles. Many of the oversized props in this film were rented out to 20th Century Fox 11 years later for the show Land of the Giants. And of course, to show that he's ill, they've got to have the rings around their eyes. That's such an old trope in Hollywood. Scott, people know, they realize they're not laughing at you. Of course, you're still trying to cheer him up. He's very bitter. See how funny I am, the child that looks like a man. This is the part I was talking about, that in the book that he was doubting his masculinity and his manhood. But this was the only way they could get it past the censors. Go on, laugh, Louise. Be like everyone else. It's all right. Well, why can't you look at me? Look at me, he said. And of course, that's just torturing her all the more.
Yeah.
And of course, now he's regained his composure. And she's still trying to keep him cheerful. But Scott, there's so much to hope for. Any day now, the doctor said they might find the antitoxin. Yeah, but I mean, come on. Even if they were to find a way of stopping the growth, there's no way of returning him back to his normal size. It's not like they suddenly have magic to make him grow. So the thing is, the whole point is, even if they do find it, he's going to be stuck at whatever size they can stop the shrinking at. And he tells her, Lou, let's get out of this place. Sorry, go ahead, Nemesis.
Yeah, they address that a little later on, where they're like, this is like a whole new set of challenges. Like, this is like, it's a whole new territory for them. They're flying by the seat of their pants, basically.
Yes. Like they would be in real life. Yeah, this is something they would not be used to seeing.
Oh,
I have a feeling if this happened in real life, he'd probably be spending most of the time in the hospital. They'd be sending him from one place to another because everybody would want to look at him, to the point where he'd say, I'm tired of people poking and prodding at me. I just want to stay home and just shrink and die, I guess. And that's basically what he's saying now. Somewhere where he wants the two of them to go away where nobody can find them. And now she's saying she'll look for something, another place. So they decided they're going to sell the house. And try not to worry. No, I'll let the doctors worry. I'm 2 days behind on my book. So here he's writing his memoirs. October 17th, height 36.5 inches. By the way, there were people shorter than him. So he's not yet the shortest person that ever existed. We haven't been able to find a new house, and there still is no privacy. As you can see, he's getting smaller and smaller. He's even smaller than he was in that last scene with her. There's where he picks up the phone, but he does have it with two hands. Let's see. Let's go back. And the phone rings, I guess. I thought she had it. That doesn't look so good. But yeah, it looks like he missed it with two hands.
Yeah, but he's not struggling at all.
No, and it would be heavy because those phones weighed a lot back then.
Yeah, and wait a second. Wait a second. I thought you canceled the phone. So how did they get in a phone call?
Well, she said they canceled it until they get an unlisted line. So apparently they found an unlisted number.
But I thought there was a long line for those.
Well, she did, but somehow they didn't show how much time has passed. But I think they eventually got the unlisted number. And these days, I don't even know if that's possible to get an unlisted number anymore. And here we have the wife in the basement. And here's where we get a little bit of foreshadowing of what's going to be happening in the future. And she's working on this dress on the mannequin. And he calls to her. And he's excited, the antitoxin, they found it. And she's happy. Oh, Scott, are you sure? And we got a little bit of blue screen problems here, but hey, I'll overlook it. And here's where we have Mr. Drysdale. I mean, the doctor here is going to give him a shot. The other 50% we'll just have to pray. So it's like 50% hope.
So how'd they get it to, like, did they just, like, cut his image into there then? Got an oversized prop?
Here it's split screen. So you have the doctor and the woman, and then they double expose the film where he's on an oversized bed or a bench or whatever that is, and then they, I don't know if you're sure of the effect of split screen, but what they would do is they would expose half the film, and then they would film, like, for example, the two characters on the left, and they wouldn't expose the part on the right, and then afterwards they would expose just the part on the right, and then they would seam the two, blend the two together. When they first invented split screen photography back in I'm talking the old days, it was a lot more obvious. But by the time we had gotten, like as you can see in the movie here, it wasn't as obvious. But it also depended on the budget. Here they did a really, really good job. I've seen a lot of 60s TV shows like I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched, where there was a lot of split screen photography, and it was very noticeable. So it also depends on the production value. Of course, this is great. You can see they use the arm of a little boy, and I thought that was cool because that helped it look realistic. And of course, they're measuring his weight, 36, or his height, 36 and a half inches. What was last week's reading? 52 pounds. Height, 36 and a half inches. No change, doctor. So far, so good. So, of course, his wife, Lou, is happy. How long will it take, Dr. Silver, to be normal again? Put on your robe now. That'll be all Miss Maltby. Mr. Carey, we seem to have checked the degenerative process of your disease. We've won that much. At this moment, the growth capacity of your body is as limited as any adult. So he's basically telling him that he won't be able to grow back.
Oh, brutal. I didn't catch that bit, even in the two watchings. That's crazy.
Yeah, whether or not you grow again is another question, which means basically no.
All right. Should we catch up on chat?
Yep, please do. Thank you, Gorilla.
All right. Phantom Boomer says, I live in San Diego County. You don't need to cross the border for great food.
Here, oh, no, you don't, yeah. Anywhere in California, but the closer you get to the border, the better it is.
Yeah. Here, I'll let Nemesis read these.
Oh, what? Okay, hang on here. Amazing variety of excellent food in Houston as well, says Euler Greg. LDG Free the Net says, been listening. Thanks, guys. Bedtime for me. Lemon Pie says, fun fact, Scotty got that number. Anyways, Euler Greg says, yeah, they could have made incredible money just from the story. Euler Greg also says, split screen is well done.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
And Stream Elements is shouting out my channel for gaming and much more. Nemesis of Eden. Edge of Time says, Hail Pickles.
Ale pickles.
Edge of Time says, Shiner Bach. Cheers. Boiler Greg says, cheers.
That sounds good. I need to try it one of these days.
Captain
go ahead
Infinity channel.
Excuse me. Cam's Crash Courses says, later LDG. Lemon Pie says, Edge, are you a Texan too? Nemesis of Eden says, sleep well, LDG. Cam's Crash Courses says, I prefer Lone Star if it's ice cold, Winky.
Well, all beer's got to be ice cold. If it's not, ugh.
What? You don't like warm German beer? What's wrong with you? My goodness.
Yeah, warm beer?
Hey, warm beer and bread.
I like my beer about 60 degrees.
Nah, the colder the better. I like it. We're just on the point of almost like freezing.
Yeah, I can't stand that.
I'm not a fan of beer.
Try having that when you have a rotten wisdom tooth waiting to get taken out. No, we'll talk
about dude. Brutal.
Clove oil. I recommend clove oil if you have a bad tooth.
Yeah, 100%. Or cloves themselves will help with a toothache.
Yep.
Phantom Boomer says, Arnie Tex is the great Tex-Mex channel on YouTube.
Oh, so very cool. I appreciate that.
Lemon Pie says, Lone Star is the best of the bad, cheap beers. Ha-ha.
I'll go with my Lone Shark.
Lone Shark? Is that a beer?
Yeah, it's a golden beer.
Gotcha.
Phantom Boomer says, I'm Texan in my heart. I just can't afford to move. Oh, give me 1 second here, guys. Sorry.
Okay, there's Hungry Boys channel.
Yeah, aren't we all? I wish I could afford to move tomorrow. I'd be out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, no, I don't know. It'd be nice just to have a couple extra houses in different places to just go,
a couple houses, sure. Yeah. Yeah, I would love that too.
Like have a house down in the States and like be able to flee down there or wherever. Lemon Pie says, Phantom, where are you? What state?
All right.
Cam's Crash Courses says, at Lemon Pie, cheap and cold, what soldier can afford? Lemon Pie says, Cam, I agree. Cold, it ain't that bad. Phantom Boomer says, at Lemon Pie, California, San Diego County, if you're going to live in California, the two ends are the place to be.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, Phantom Boomer's like the third person I know from San Diego now.
Yeah, I know Dillard is from San Diego.
Simple Jack and Vile Mike are both from there.
Cool.
Lemon Pie says, yes, San Diego is kind of like a slice of not California, I hear.
Yeah, I hear it's not as nasty. And it's far enough away from LA when I hear to be nice.
Oiler Greg says, I hereby officially make you a Texan, Phantom Boomer. So congratulations. Yeehaw. Alka-blam. Cam's Crash Courses says, Bakelite phones were bricks. Yes,
he's talking about the phone that they have in this movie, yes.
Phantom Boomer says, at Lemon Pie, it took me several years to get here, but I love it. At Oiler Greg, thank you. Edge of Time says, that night train's a mean wine, Jake Blues.
That's cheap stuff, isn't it? You buy it in bulk?
I think so. I mean, Guns N' Roses sang about it. They made a whole song about it.
Oh, okay.
It's probably a box wine.
I couldn't tell you. Lemon Pie says, Phantom, we W Texan. Now do what must be done, Lord Vader. I mean, Phantom. I guess I should have done that in a Emperor voice. Well, next time. Cam says, I was in Mission Valley, San Diego.
Oh, nice.
Cam says, it was good. Thumbs up. Excuse me. My goodness. Sorry, guys. Oh. Euler Greg says, interesting information pop.
Well, thank you, Ola Greg. I appreciate it.
Phantom Boomer says, at Cam's Crash Courses, been kind of wet down there lately. In North County, Highway 78 developed a sinkhole at Oceanside, still closed. Tips are appreciated from Stream Elements. So if you want to give Pop a tip, there's the link.
Yeah, enough to move out of California. Says, I'm just kidding.
Hey, man. Yes, if you want to support Pop, support Pop.
Yeah, send it a one-way ticket to anywhere.
Cam says, at Pop Culture Curator, great details.
Thank you, Cam.
Stream Elements is shouting out Sean Carter's channel. Phantom Boomer says, a friend converted me to Guinness, which is that's the beer that I'm the most familiar with because it's used for a lot of cooking.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, a lot of Jamaican cooking. One of my family members does a lot of that. Phantom Boomer said, I had great beer in a restaurant outside Wichita Falls. Don't recall what brand, but it was in a schooner with a skin of ice on the top.
That's interesting.
Euler Greg says, I agree with Pop. Ice cold beer is superior. Captain Infinity says, Dave's not here, man.
Reference to Cheech and Chong.
Hail, Captain Infinity.
Hello, Captain Infinity. Good to see you there. Glad you could join us.
Captain Boomer says, Captain Infinity.
And beyond. Just kidding.
And beyond. Captain Infinity says they also wrote a song extolling the virtues of heroin. That they did.
That's not good, but okay. Whatever works for them, I guess.
Oh man, the best music was made on the hard drugs, man.
Oh, I know. Just ask Whitney Houston, right?
Oh, look at Dirt from Alice in Chains. That thing drips heroin, and it's amazing.
Look at Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm not a fan, but I appreciate what he did for the musical.
Yeah, people seem to like him, but everything he did, he was high as a kite. But, whatever works, I guess, for some people, huh?
For sure. Streamlabs is shouting out Anti-Derivative Jill's channel, so check out Anti-Derivative Jill. She's a gem, an absolute sweetie. Check her out. Captain Infinity says, Boomer! Night Train, Edge of Time says, Night Train is a Reno's wine that comes in a rainbow of colors and flavors. Thus, the invention of Technicolor yawn.
It's wine.
That's what I had thought about Night Train. I just didn't want to say that. I didn't want to insult anybody, but I heard that it's a cheap wine for winos. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wino. It's a wino, not a wino.
What's a wino?
A person, well, it's a drunk alcoholic, or it was associated with somebody who would, I guess you could say, drinks too much wine. But basically, back in the day, they used to call anybody a drunk. They would call them a wino. I guess now they're called homeless.
Okay. Wine. All right. Not
yeah, but that drunken, disheveled person is laying in the street, right? But now they're shooting up heroin instead of wine.
Lemon Pie says, hello, Captain. Captain says, heroin, the worst drug, gave us the best tunes. It's true, and it is true. Euler Greg says, my brother used to snuggle me into the drive in moving the trunk of the car.
I had a 69 Cadillac, and I could get 5 people in the trunk when I took that to the drive-in.
Don't worry, Nemesis, we're almost done here.
Almost done, guys.
The ocean is a desert with its life underground. La, la, la. No, I'm not sure. Captain Infinity from Phantom Boomer says, that's mostly true. I really like the dessert. Desert. Oh my God, Jesus.
They're spelled the same. They're spelled the same.
No, there's one. Dessert has 2 S's. Yeah, dessert has 2 S's.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it does. Captain says lemon sandwich. Up, Streamlabs is shouting out Jim's Landscape LLC #1 Commodore. Euler Greg says,
Yeah, he's
Mad
got a
Dog,
great Czech
2020 was
channel.
cheap throwing wine. Yes, he does. Capfinity says 69. Scogli Jotun says, hey, Cap, sorry about yesterday again. I kind of have a feeling I might have went off on anyone. I was so wound up yesterday.
Sorry to hear that, Scogli. I hope today's going better for you.
Oh, I guess I didn't hear that. All right, let's get back to the show here.
I need another drink
All right.
of water.
Let me tag that and hide it. Okay. So here's where the doctor is basically telling him, he just told him that they've stopped the shrinking for now, but there's not much they can do about retaining his original height or regaining it. But he's saying, I assure you we'll go on working every day. We'll push our knowledge further until one day we might have the whole answer. So he's kind of happy, but kind of sad. My relationships with the whole world have ceased with everyone except my wife. It was my desperate need for her. Now, see, here's where he's thinking about it. He misses his wife. Even though she's right there, he can't really love her like he used to. And of course, she's still being cheerful. You want the paper, Scott? No, thank you, he says. And it looks like all he's doing is looking at the family album, looking at pictures of who he used to be. And she asks if he wants to go to bed with her, and he says no, maybe later. And he says, I felt puny and absurd, a ludicrous midget. Of course, they wouldn't use that word now, but oh well. But now when you're 3 feet tall, he says, I loathe myself, our home, the character of my life with Lou had become. I had to get out. I had to get away. This is where he decides to take a night out in town. And people are staring at him, of course. And he happens to come across a carnival. And he can hear the barker. Hurry, hurry. Here it is, folks. The greatest show. He actually said the Midway, but the text is a little off saying Midwest, but he actually said the Midway. Come on in and see all the freaks and curiosities. See Dolly Dumpling, the fat lady. She weighs 840 pounds. When she sits down, she shakes and quivers. And there he is. Hello, PvP. I'm glad you could join us, sir.
Hello, guys.
Hey,
Yeah,
PvP.
better late than never. Hey, Nemesis, Gorilla, Bob. How are you guys? Well, you guys, what, about halfway through it, I guess? Or?
Not quite half. So yeah, pretty good timing.
Oh, that's good.
Right, he's already started. He's already started to shrink, and this is where he takes a night out in the town.
Yeah, he was getting pretty tiny by this point.
36
yeah,
inches,
he was.
36 and a half. Yeah.
Which is funny because like nobody in like you'd think that the director would be like, hey, have the passersby like react to this guy, or like maybe it would have been too hard to like
they do
or to split screen it in.
They do. But when they showed him the first time crossing the street, they were staring at it. And right here, you'll see the guy he passes looking at. Oops, sorry, let me go back. The guy he passes looks down at him right there. The guy does look at him, so he does interact with him.
Okay, so, that's fair.
I'm guessing maybe it's people aren't reacting like they were earlier because the media blew everything up so big that everybody got exposed to it. Like, you know, the incredible shrinking man. So they're kind of got used to him almost at this point, maybe.
Well, he is. Well, the thing is he is a celebrity and he's still highly sought after.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but I think in public, but they don't know who he is when he's walking around. I think what they're thinking, and also because it's dark, I think they're just thinking it's a little boy. I don't think they're getting. Yeah, I don't think they're getting a close enough look at his face to see that it's an older man.
That's true. Yeah, good point.
You remember these sights for the rest of your natural life, says the Carnival Barker. Time for the big show. I would like you to meet a few of the exhibits here on the platform. First, we have, of course, a freak show, which we won't see anymore. First, we have Tiny Tina. She is 36 and a half inches of feminine pulchritude.
So they have like an actual midget, little person.
Yes.
And it's funny, like...
Go ahead.
When it comes, I'm just thinking because like when it comes to like the blonde girl we're going to meet very shortly coming up, she's very clearly an actress of regular size.
Right,
And
but
it's like, oh, you could have.
we have had midgets in history who were proportionate. Because as we know now, I mean, right, I'm not trying to be insensitive to anybody out there listening, but for shorter people now, as we know, usually when they're that way, their body is not proportionate. They seem to be like very stockily built. Mm-hmm. But we have had very short people who were proportionate for their size that actually did look like little people. So a famous one is Tom Thumb. He was one of P.T. Barnum's biggest attractions.
Well, and there's different kinds of, I guess they would call it dwarfism, or at least they used to, right? There's different types. Yeah. Not all little people are the same, right? You know, there's different types of little people.
Yes.
Just like you're saying, some are proportionate and some aren't. So.
Yeah.
And the proportionate ones are much more rare. So that's why most of the ones you see are the ones that look.
Yeah, you don't see them too often, I guess. Yeah.
Nope.
Well, the one that comes to my mind when I think of small people is Michael Dunn in Wild Wild West, right? Like he was such a great actor that it's like I think it's kind of inspiring. What was that?
The TV show PvP?
Yeah, the 60s TV show. Yeah.
Well, right. He was also on Star Trek. He was.
Yeah, he played Alexander in Plato's Stepchildren.
And I guess now, for example, people point at. I can't stand it, but that horrible guy from Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, what's his name? Dinklage.
Dinkler, or whatever his name is, who ruined the Snow White movie because he bitched and moaned about them hiring little people, so he ruined that movie.
You're kidding! Wow.
You didn't hear about that?
No, I didn't. I missed that one. So he actually didn't want them to hire little people?
Right. Disney's making a live action remake of Snow White, and they were going to hire little people to play the dwarves. And he came on and complained, saying that that's not socially acceptable. And when he did that, Disney fired all the dwarves that they had hired, upsetting all of them in the dwarf community because they all came out in voice and said, "Wait a minute, that's the best job we ever had. What are you doing?"
Well, yeah.
So by opening his mouth, he ruined it. Yeah,
he doesn't want anybody else making any money.
Right. I think he was jealous because his career went down the tubes.
Yeah. Well, Game of Thrones kind of went down the tubes at the end there, didn't it?
Right. He had a couple roles after that.
Wow.
And he made that horrible movie last year where he was, I can't remember, it was a joke because the movie he made last year, not only did it bomb, they made like under $1 million, but he was supposed to be a famous lover like Casanova or something like that. And I mean, it was that ludicrous.
Okay.
And the bad news is,
a strange one.
Right, and the worst news is, on top of everything else, he's supposed to be working in the new remake of the Toxic Avenger, and that is sad because I'm a big fan of the Toxic Avenger, and I don't want to see him in it.
That's too bad. Like, is Lloyd Kaufman in directing it?
Oh no, he's producing it, but he's not directing it. And by the way, the movie's been completed now for almost 2 years. I don't know why they're having trouble getting it released.
Like, who knows? You know what, Pop? Like, because I thought. I was very hesitant going into like a completely different director and whatnot. The Beavis and Butthead movie, dude, I thought it was going to be woke and terrible. It was incredible. Like, so I have slight hope. I'll probably die in despair as we usually do, but I still have a little bit of hope.
Well, you can always hold out hope. That never hurts anybody, right?
Yeah, well, there's the occasional glimmer of a decent film every once in a while coming out. So it does seem like maybe the tide is slowly starting to turn, even though I imagine it's going to take a while, before it gets back to anything close to normal. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see that in our lifetime PvP.
Well, as you said, keep hopeful.
Yeah, just keep hoping. Just. Because we are watching all these companies getting woke and going broke, so that's always a pleasant sight to see.
Yeah, it's crazy how much money they're losing. And the thing is, we still have these great old films we can enjoy, and hopefully, doing this stream, maybe some new people that haven't heard about this film might discover it and enjoy it as well. So
yeah, thank you. Yeah, for reminding me. If you guys have not seen this, that's the whole point. Is I'm hoping to maybe entice you into watching it because it is a fantastic classic movie. And it deserves the respect.
It's a lot of fun, yeah.
So Scogli was saying, well, there's been a few things.
I know.
Scogli was saying, I
Yeah,
agree with
Gorilla had to
Dwarf.
step. Let me see. Gorilla had to step away for a
I'm
moment. Here we
back.
go.
I'm
Oh,
Scogli
back.
says
hey,
one
back.
could say that Johnny Depp was a wino, high class though. Yeah, I guess you're right. He is basically a drug addict and a wino, but he's rich, so people don't want to call him that. But I'm not a fan of Johnny Depp. I don't even consider him an actor. He gets so high and loaded that he doesn't even bother learning his lines. So all he does is he doesn't do any rehearsing. He just steps on the stage in front of the cameras, and then he has someone standing off the side feeding his lines, and I think that's despicable.
Yeah, he
So
seems to be
yeah,
one of those. Yeah, one of those people that success kind of went to his
prima
head and kind
donna.
of
Yeah, he's a prima
ruined him. Yeah,
donna. Yeah.
exactly.
Phantom
I
Boomer
liked his
says,
well, some of his early stuff I didn't mind. Like I still think Edward Scissorhands is a pretty fun movie, but then it's got Vincent Price, and you know, it's got a
yeah,
good
Vincent Price is
story.
what sold that movie for me. I think if he wasn't in it, I'll probably never watch it again. But he was the
Mm.
I've
highlight of
never
that
seen it.
movie. It
It's
was
worth a
okay.
watch if you haven't seen it.
It's a Tim Burton movie. It's not hilarious. It's not a comedy. It's kind of just there. It's a fantasy
It's
love
kind of a
story.
fantasy love story, yeah. But the
Yeah.
thing is, Tim Burton's another person that I've kind of lost any use for over the
Yes.
decades because I thought he was a pretty good filmmaker, quite original when he first started, right? And then as the years went by, it just seemed like he's become,
A
more and more
sellout.
of just playing it safe, pretty much.
That's what they're all doing now. It's either that or not work. Look at Sam Raimi in his last movie, right?
Uh,
The Doctor Strange. I mean, I never thought Sam Raimi would sell it and make such a shitty movie, but he did.
yeah, that was the second one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind the first movie, but
Now
I
remember
haven't
that
seen the.
that was and the only reason why Sam Raimi was there is because the director quit.
Mm.
So I mean, Sam Raimi, I think it was basically was like a scab crossing a picket line.
So he just kind of bailed them out, so to speak.
Yeah, Scott Derrickson was originally scheduled to be the director, but people are getting tired of Marvel telling them what to do.
Yeah.
But apparently, Sam Raimi liked that truck full of cash. I mean, he accepted it, and now he sold out the Evil Dead franchise. Now it's going to be woke and
Oh
gender
no,
swapped.
I hope not. Oh, that'll be horrible.
Yeah, just watch the trailer, and you'll see what I
It
mean.
just seems like they just want to lose money on purpose, doesn't it?
Well,
It's
it
just
is.
not.
Yeah, in fact, Disney just had their meeting. What do they call it? Their quarterly ratings or whatever it's called, and they said they're going to double down on the woke. They don't
Oh,
care if they're losing money.
like a
Quarterly
quarter
report. That's it.
report.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if you guys heard, but the shareholders were calling them out, saying, when are you going to stop, talking about child grooming and transvestites and child molestation and
Yeah.
all that? And he
Well,
said, no, we're not going to stop talking about it.
if I
That's
was
the
a
new future.
if I were, I mean, the shareholders need to get together and figure out some way to fight this because they must have some power, right? I mean, they basically own a good part of the company,
But apparently not a
right?
controlling amount because you have to have a
Well, they
controlling
get
amount to
Oh,
do
of
something.
course not. Yeah.
shareholders can sue them for violating their fiduciary duties.
Well, let's see who can afford the better lawyers. But believe me, he knows what he's doing. They know what they're doing. So if they had knew there was any chance of them being sued to oblivion, they wouldn't be doing it. But they know they can get away with it.
Yeah, I'm
And
kind of
Phantom Boomer
surprised some
says
of the.
dessert. Go ahead,
I'm just
PvP.
I'm just surprised some of the shareholders don't just dump their stocks and just bail out, you know, just to send a message, so to speak.
They have.
Well,
their
think about
stock-
think about the other people would say they would love that and just buy those stocks up, and then you'd have less people that would have any
Yeah,
head on
that's
their
true.
shoulders. Phantom
I guess
Boomer
it's a
says
no win, no
desert.
win.
It is, and Disney knows that.
Yeah,
Disney knows that.
yeah.
Desert. You can have dessert in the desert. A dessert in your desert. A desert in your dessert. Kind of sucks. Scogli. Back in the day, though, the cheapest liquor was always shitty ass wine. So all the drunks on the street drank that. And Captain Finity says, Scogli, thanks, bro. Now I just love you even more. Pleasant Valley Picker. There you go. PvP. Hi, guys. Boy, I am behind the chat. And Lemon Pie says, I haven't done a lemon sandwich since I was in my 20s. I love lemon meringue pie. Edge of Time says they're called Housing Challenged Californians, a.k.a. winos, right? And tweakers and bums and thieves. And Phantom Boomer says, hail at Pleasant Valley Picker, California. Canada, CA, Canada.
Yeah. Hi,
Lemon
guys.
Pie says Picker. And PvP says, hi, Phantom. PvP says, hi, Lemon. Edge of Time says, PvP. Everybody saying hello.
Hi, Edge of Time. I haven't been in the chat in a while, so I haven't acknowledged you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get caught up. Edge of Time says, "Can cats have a little eggnog PvP?"
I don't have a cat.
I imagine a cat would love eggnog, probably, as long as it
Yeah,
doesn't have the booze in it. You know.
I wonder if it'd be safe. I guess it'd be safe for them. I suppose. Hey, like I suppose.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt him. Phantom Boomer.
Yeah.
Oh, fat shaming, evil. I said stocky. If you're talking about what I was saying about short people, I meant stocky in stature. Edge of Time said my favorite is JoJo, the dog faced boy. Scogly, I knew a dwarf in my hometown growing up. His name was Kevin. All proper proportions. He was about 40 years old at the time, but he was about the size of a 3-year-old. And so there you go. There's an example right there. And Cam Cam says that Captain Infinity, hi Cap. Scogly says he was slobbering drunk when he made that statement too. Peter Dinklage. Yeah, that's the name, Peter Dinklage.
Hi, Cam
It's
Cam.
funny. That last name on him really fits. Cam Cam's
Yes.
Crash Courses says PvP, hi.
Hi.
Edge of Time says the wages of woke are broke. And Cam Cam's Crash Courses, I'm listening, but I got to fold some clothes. Thank you, Cam Cam. Captain Fiddy says Cam Cam is in the house. And Phantom Boomer says I'm switching to my phone for a bit so I can heat up some late dinner. There you go. That's what I need to do eventually. Phantom Boomer, I'm a money challenged Californian. I hear you there, Phantom Boomer. Likewise, same here. All right, let me star that chat, and then now we're going to back to the movie. So we have Scott Terry listening to the Carnival Barker. And when he hears the word freaks and curiosities, he doesn't like it. It bothers him, but I guess these days you would call it triggered. And here's where these people are walking by, and that's where he hides his face so they don't see him.
No, when you do that, you gotta go triggered, triggered.
This exhibit is not only entertaining, it's educating. Here we have him walking into a cafe, and a guy noticing him as he walks in. I think the people are thinking, well, that little boy's out awfully late by himself.
Oh, it'd be so weird to be that small in a normal sized world. Like that would be so weird.
Well, and just like this movie, everybody would be staring at you all the time, everywhere you go.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And you can see his little hand up there, reaching up on the counter for the cup, and he goes to sit at the table. And here's where we have a woman here who introduced herself. This is blue screen, obviously. We can tell our rear screen projection. At midget, that's a real midget, by the way. The guy that's in a dark suit.
You guy with a cigar, yeah.
That's the one that was mentioned in the book that was homosexual that tried to take advantage of Scott Carey.
Really? Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
wow,
the book was a little different.
Dirt.
Yeah, and in the book, he also slept with his midget lady here. They made it more clear. Here, it's not quite as obvious.
Yeah, but it's very, very, very heavily implied that he's going to cheat on his wife there with her.
But the coincidence, too, she kind of looks like his wife.
Yeah, he's definitely tempted. Like, they do kind of form kind of a relationship for a short time in the film, don't they?
Well, they do, and he's been establishing that he misses the affection of his wife. So he's basically a sex starved, I guess you could say, also as well.
Well, yeah, I guess it'd be pretty difficult to perform when you're that small.
Right. Right. And that's one of the things. That's one of the things they mentioned in the book. That's one of the things that drives him to desperation and.
Oh gosh. She is very attractive, I got to say. This lady, though, damn, she's a look.
Yes, she is.
Now, notice when he says his name is Scott Carey, she recognizes the name, so he's worldwide famous already.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think about it. In these days, in today's society, you'd have to have bodyguards because he would be kidnapped for sure. There'd obviously be people figuring out a way to get rich off that.
Yeah, good chance. Yeah. Or else somebody would just, assault him just because they don't, just because he's different, right?
That too, yes.
That could happen too, right? So.
Especially here in California, with the color of his skin, he wouldn't last 2 minutes. And here's where she says that she's due back at the carnival. And he asks if he can see her again, and she says yes, if you like.
So do you
And this
think
is
it's
what,
because she's a carnival worker that she actually is attracted to him? Because it seems like a genuine attraction she has. Like she doesn't seem like she's a gold digger or anything like that, you know?
right, she's not. And at first, when she sat there, she just thought he was another midget. But now that she knows he's Scott Carey, she also understands that he's lonely.
Hmm.
And here we are back working on his memoirs. And of course, he's thinking of her. Here's where he meets her in the park. I'm not much of a writer, just trying to tell it what it's like, he says. I'm not going to read all the text, you guys, because this is a slideshow and it's going to miss a lot of the text of the movie. This is why I encourage you to please watch it on your own. But once again, she's basically trying to cheer him up, but he's still depressed. Come on, I'll buy you a drink. We can talk about it in another chapter, she says. And that's when he realizes that now he's shorter than her. When they first met in the cafe, they were actually around the same height. So he's realizing a little bit taller. And now he realizes that whatever that shot the doctor gave him is worn off and he's starting to shrink again. That upsets him. There it is. 2 weeks ago, I was taller than you. You said so yourself. And of course, she's like, yes, I remember. But he says, well, can't you see? And he's upset and he runs off. I like
Yeah,
the
that's
fact
kind of
that,
sad when he runs off. I thought that was kind of sad, you know.
yeah, and it's great attention to detail because you notice the sprinklers are built larger than usual, how high they are off the ground to make him look smaller. So I'm glad they went to
Oh,
that detail.
yeah, good
I'll go
point.
back here. See how high they are?
Hmm.
So you can imagine in real life, if you're standing next to them, it's probably like 5 to 6 feet off the ground.
Hmm.
So immediately we cut to a hard cut to he's already so small he's living in a dollhouse. And he's doing the best he can with what tools he has. And his wife is coming down the stairs, and unfortunately, when she comes down the stairs, it's very loud, and his ears are very sensitive, and not only that, but it shakes the dollhouse. And that's what he's telling her. I told you what happens in there. I'm sorry, Scott. I try to be careful.
Yeah.
I guess he could tell her to start wearing tennis shoes. I guess, huh?
Yeah.
What's that, Gorilla?
Can I make my next nitpick? Because this came up in our Star Trek reviews there when they all shrunk. You know, he's getting a lot smaller there, and his body's apparently shrinking the compensate for that. But all the molecules outside of that aren't changing that. He should be having trouble breathing and all that other stuff.
Not yet, but he would when he got smaller. But you are right. It gets to the point where you're so small you wouldn't be able to breathe the air.
Yeah, but he's so small he can fit in a dollhouse.
Right, but there are creatures and animals that can breathe the air that are his size or smaller, like lizards and things. Otherwise, they'd all be dead. You might have trouble breathing. Are you going? But the point where the molecules are too big, I think he'd have to be a lot smaller than what he is now. And he's now, of course, he's jealous because he has no life and he's stuck inside that dollhouse. And his wife's going out, so he's questioning her every move. Are you going out? Where? Just to the corner to the store. Of course, you'll come right back. Well, of course I will, she says. Why don't you try to get some rest? Dr. Silver wants to see you tomorrow. All right, go ahead. Be sure the doors are locked. See, this is where you remind her to make sure the doors are locked. So here's where she gets ready to go outside the door, and she remembers something on the nightstand there. And as she does, that darn cat gets in the house. And she does not notice.
Yeah. You think they might have gotten rid of the cat by this point just to be on the safe side? Like, just give it to the neighbors to look after for a while, you know? Like,
I would want it. Well, you know that it would come home. I would get it far away. I would adopt it to somebody on the other side of town or something, or in a different.
oh yeah,
Pop culture that don't work because we had a cat there. We took it two towns over there. We just let it sit in the front seat there, and a week later that cat was back on the on the front steps there. Now we took the cat back, but my dad made sure to drive up and down the streets of, let's just say, a certain neighborhood there, up and down. He went down up and down the street. So, good luck with that cat coming back.
Well, wait a second. Well, hold on. Okay, first of all, okay. So I take it you guys were trying to get rid of your poor little kitty?
Yeah, we gave away to someone.
Yeah, but you said that your dad. Sorry to get sidelined here, but you said your dad was driving up and down. Are you saying that he was trying to confuse the cat when it comes to directions? You think is that what you're talking about?
Well, let's just say the cat wouldn't make it through that neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to be
I
very
think
polite.
I know what you're getting at now.
Yeah,
He's
gonna make sure that cat doesn't come home, right? He'll make sure that cat doesn't come home.
I am being very
funny.
YouTube friendly with the way I put that.
Poor little kiss kitty. And here he is. We're hearing his self narration, and every day I become more tyrannical. I could find the courage to end my wretched existence.
I guess he's letting his paranoia about his wife kind of get the best of him, right? Because he's kind of jealous that things aren't the way they used to be. Maybe.
He is.
Well,
he's jealous and he's lonely.
Helpless. He's frustrated. He's lonely. He's living in a frickin' dollhouse. Meanwhile, he's going out doing God knows what with people who are 100 times his size.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think he's kind of it's kind of unfortunate, but perhaps he's kind of suspects his wife, maybe isn't being faithful anymore. Because
that's why he kept asking her, "Where are you going? When are you coming back?"
Yeah,
but we all know that she is faithful to him.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, she is. Unlike real life, I don't think the wife would still be so faithful.
Mm.
And it looks like we have
on the wife, I guess.
It would depend on the wife.
I'm just posting something in the private chat if you guys want to check it out. Since we were talking about the cat coming back, I thought I'd post this little animated cartoon that's called The Cat Came Back. If you've never seen it, it's pretty funny. It's like a short film. It's like 7 or 8 minutes long. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really funny.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
I'm just going to check the link here just to make sure it works. I'm just going to check it. Oh, yeah, it worked. That's good.
Okay, so here's where we have the cat being Snoopy. And he starts to realize that he hears a noise, and you can hear the sniffing of the cat. And he grabs.
I don't think the cat's doing anything wrong here.
Not yet. The cat doesn't.
It's just being a cat.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead, Nemesis.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as a cat owner, I know for a fact that one of my cats would eat me, wouldn't hesitate for a second, and I wouldn't blame her for it. Especially if I still had her in the house and I was that size, I'd be like, well, I'm kind of asking for it, really.
Oh yeah, because he's the size of a mouse, so yeah, kind of, right?
Well, they got that hunting instinct, I guess, right? A lot of cats. So I mean, since he is like the size of a mouse, it's no wonder the cat's going to think of him as prey at this point, right?
Well, and it's funny because you mentioned that PvP, because coming up following immediately the scene, we should probably just carry on, and I'll talk about it in
sure
30 seconds.
That sounds good.
Well, maybe the cat wouldn't. Maybe the cat wouldn't try to eat him if he didn't throw his ass outside.
There we go.
No, the cat would still try to eat him even if he didn't do that. Yeah. It's a cat.
Now, this would be the best movie ever if he yelled, "Oh shit!" screamed, then tried to slam the door.
Yeah, but it's 1957, so that's not very likely.
No, probably not.
And what's interesting is the first thing I'm sure that everybody thinks when they're seeing this, they'll think, well, you'll be okay. Just stay inside the dollhouse and you'll be absolutely fine. And then we find out there's no back on the house.
Well, most doll houses are like that, right? They don't have a back.
I think so.
So the kid can play with the dolls in the dollhouse, right?
Yeah.
That does make sense.
Well,
that's why they had it tucked against the wall. Of course. Yeah.
The stairs don't make sense then.
Well, you'll notice that when at first he tries to run up the stairs and they just wobble. So I'm glad they show that they're pretty much just little pieces of aluminum or whatever, plastic or whatever. And there's where the cat scratches him. Here's where it is. See, here's the stairs. Now watch. Yeah, the stairs just
Yeah,
wobble.
that's a nice. I didn't notice that before. That's a nice little touch.
Yep.
Yeah, I think considering the limited technology they were working with on this film, it's very, very well done. There's a few scenes when he's running that, kind of don't look totally convincing. You can tell it's kind of, green screen or some kind of mat
Blue
or something.
screen. Yeah, green screen
Yeah,
had not been invented yet, but it was blue screen.
but still, for the most part, I think it's a really made film. I think it's pretty high quality in a lot of the special effects.
Yeah, and I think what helps too is the giant oversized props.
That's
Yes,
what.
that's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, the attention to detail was fantastic.
Oh, the oversized props are fantastic. That's probably my favorite part of the film,
And
pretty
those are the
much.
cat
Like
takes
one of
a
the
swipe at him. And just
yeah.
like
So you were talking about the predatory. Oh, go ahead, Pop.
well, I was just gonna say, just like a mouse, the cat's kind of playing with him too at this point.
Yeah, this reminded me of we had a cat named Mama there, and she was laying on the bed there with my mom one night, and all of a sudden a mouse poked its head out from underneath the chest, and that cat pounced on that mouse there. But instead of eating it, she threw it up against the dresser there, wait for the mouse to get up, shake it off there, and she pounced on it again, then throw it up against the wall there.
Yes.
She sat there and did that for 20 minutes to that damn mouse. That's what this cat's doing to him.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
Not the mouse's best day.
Yeah,
No.
actually, I almost felt bad for the mouse.
Well, I guess after 20 minutes, yeah. That's quite a spectacle, I can imagine. Jeez. Yeah, that cat looks pretty nasty there. That's pretty cool.
And that would be very frightening, I'm sure, if you were in that situation.
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, this is cool.
No, I had a little bit of an issue with the scene here, but it might be I'm probably more than likely overthinking this, But would it even weigh enough to sit there and pull the lamp off of there? 'Cause I don't know how heavy those lamps are.
Well, it depends. Is he
not.
still 100? Does he still weigh as much as he did? No, because he was progressively losing weight, so he would be
Yes.
proportionately heavy to what the size he is. No, I don't think he could pull that lamp off.
No, in
Yeah.
fact, he might be able to climb the cord, but yeah, I don't know if he'd be heavy to pull
Yeah.
it. 'Cause you can see how small he is compared to the lamp.
Well, the thing is, this film's as much a fantasy as it is science fiction, basically, I think. Really.
See, if I was writing it, I'd have maybe they have the cat make a swipe at it, and the cat's paw catches the cord, and the lamp falls because of the cat.
Yeah, that
Well,
would have
that
been
could be,
that would
yeah.
have been really good. That would have yeah, that's a much better idea actually. That would have worked. Yeah.
So here's where the cat's going to look at him, and he's hiding by the basement door. And he's struggling with the cat. Of course, the cat's trying to open the door.
He is a strong for a fellow that size though.
I know, because I'm sure the cat would be a lot stronger than him. At
Oh,
this
the
point.
cat would have had him by now, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you can tell.
But hey, the movie
The
movie has to happen though. So.
Or those what is those doors made out of? Because I can kind of see that those doors being relatively light enough to and on the hinge that the hinges are good that he'd be able to shut it with that.
It's possible. Oh, I don't think they were hollow like the ones now.
Well, there are
back then they were solid wood.
I remember hollow doors, like if you ever heard of door skin, it's like a very thin sheet that doors used to be made out of, and they were basically hollow on the inside. So those kind of doors were very light.
Yeah, I've seen doors like that. Yeah, they're very thin and cheap. Yes,
I've lived in places that had doors like that, and you could put your fist through them probably.
Very easily. Yeah, they're almost enough. They're almost like balsa wood. They were very light.
Yeah,
and very thin and cheap.
Exactly.
Mostly interior doors, bedroom, closet.
Totally.
Like
no, you would never use it on an exterior door unless you were crazy. But yeah, interior doors for sure.
So here we have the wife comes home, and of course he sees this box down below, and she doesn't quite understand yet what's going on. She puts the bag down, and now's where she sees what's going on, and she sees that the dollhouse has been moved, and it's finally starting to kick in, and she's realizing she sees the lamp, and unfortunately she finds a shred of material with a little bit of blood on it. And the cat's licking its paw because now remember he stabbed the cat, but she thinks that it's licking itself because it ate him.
Yeah.
Yeah, now she's really going to have a guilt trip. Oh, poor lady. This was a kind of a heartbreaking scene. Yeah.
It was. Well, I'm thinking, in real life, if that was you, wouldn't you kill that cat?
Well, I wouldn't. I don't know. I hate to think I'd do something like that, but I wouldn't be
Or
very happy with the cat. That's for sure.
I guess, yeah, it's not the
I'd get
cat's
rid of the
fault, I
cat.
suppose.
drop it off at a certain neighborhood.
Drop it off,
No, gorilla.
yeah. Take Gorilla's advice.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
way,
the cat would give it a
that
dessert.
way you don't have to do it yourself. All right, let's get. We got 4 chats here. Let's
Uh-oh.
Go for it,
let's
Gorilla.
catch
Thank
up on
you.
them before they're irrelevant. Skogler says Voodoo would eat Nemesis in a heartbeat. Aurora would probably have to wait for the smell of blood.
Oh, dude, no. Aurora's a farm cat. She would be the mean, vicious one who plays and throws me against the wall for 20 minutes before she eats me. Voodoo would just like
Right. You'd be
I
praying
mean,
for
pretty
death.
quick.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phantom Boomer says food is a good thing. Hey, welcome. They call me nobody.
Hey, good to see
Hey,
you,
they
nobody.
call me nobody.
That's how they'll find me, eaten by my cats. LOL. Yeah, Phantom Boomer says, me too. They'll be real fat cats at that point. Yeah, the cats
Nice.
won't hesitate to eat you if you die. If you suddenly have like a heart attack and die on your floor, you have cats. You better hope they find you right away, or else the cats will eat you.
Yeah, I've heard stories
So,
about
yeah,
that.
they'll go for your face, eat the eyes because they got plenty of liquids.
Yeah,
And I don't. I once again, I wouldn't blame my cats. I would hope my cats would eat me if I died, and I would hope someone would rescue my cats.
Oh, that's very considerate of you.
Oh well, hey, it's the least I can do as a corpse. You
a true
know?
animal
Yeah.
lover there, you know.
Yeah,
Go ahead, eat
better
my
than
eyes.
right. Better the cats than the worms, I guess, huh?
Well,
100%.
none of it's too attractive an option once you passed on, I guess, really.
No, but at that,
I
not
don't care what
fair,
you
I
do once
guess.
I pass on. Exactly.
Okay, so are we caught up with the chats?
Yep, there's only 4 of them.
All right. Thank you, Gorilla. So here we have the news announcer on television talking about somebody who's running for an election. And now he says he's got a news report from L.A., a tragic story of the passing of Robert Scott Carey. Carey's death was a result of an attack by a common house cat, a former pet in a Carey home. And I'm sure millions of people are out there like, I knew it. I knew that's how he would go. He was a victim of the most fantastic ailment in the annals of medicine. Thus ends the life of a man whose courage and will to survive, a man whose fantastic story was known to virtually every man, woman, and child in the civilized world. There's his brother listening to the TV, and now for the sports. He may go
I love that. It's like even
Right.
back then the media were cheesy, just
Next.
feeding vampires feeding off the tragedy, right?
But I'm surprised they didn't say. And on a lighter note, here's the sports.
Yeah.
You
really.
may go
Well, yeah,
up.
they used
She
to
wants
say
to
that.
see you. Right. She wants to see you. So they got a nurse here checking out the wife because the wife's depressed. The doctor gave her a heavy sedative, but it's hardly working at all.
Oh, I just posted something else in the private chat, Pop. It's a song by a guy called Nick Lowe, who's quite well known among us rock and roll
Cool
fans.
to be kind. Yes.
Yeah. What's off the album just before that? It was called the Jesus of Cool over in Britain. I can't remember. I think they retitled it here because I guess Jesus in the title was too controversial or some crazy thing. But anyway,
should have
the
called him
song
Jesus.
it was
Sorry, sorry, go ahead.
it was power pop for now people. I think they called it in North America. It's a great
Okay.
album, but anyway, I picked the one song off it that pertains to cats eating people because he actually wrote a song called Mary Provost, and she was like a silent film star that actually did, when she passed away in her home, got eaten by her cats. And that's what the song's about. So it's a fun song. If you guys want to, it's less than 3 minutes if you want to give it a listen. It's pretty funny.
So if you're gonna get kick the bucket, people, your last dying move should be to lock the cats outside.
Well, if you want to save money on a funeral and all that, though, you could just, get
Well,
like 20 or 30 cats, and you'd be gone in no time.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Well,
true.
Pop, they call me nobody. Says, who cares? Dead is dead. You wouldn't know they ate you.
Exactly right.
No,
But
that's true.
the thing is, guys, if they do eat you, when they do find your body and the cats, they're going to euthanize all the cats because they do that to animals if they eat people. So that
Well,
means
I
it'll
guess
be the cat's last meal, that's for sure.
I can't. Well, yeah, that's kind of sad. I don't know. Nothing's perfect.
And another thing I like about this movie is the fact that the brother-in-law, the brother of Scott Carey, is not having an affair with the wife. They would definitely do that these days. I just don't like how movies. There's just no class anymore. So here's what we have when the cat was pushing the door. It knocked him, and he fell way down into this box of cloth. My
He
return to
would be
consciousness was a
dead.
plunge into a new level. Well, that's why they showed here that he landed on the soft, I guess, materials. But he does
He's
say he's in a
still.
level of pain.
Well, let's drop you off for 10 stories and see how soft that landing is.
Yeah, I know, right?
That'd be equivalent to at least 10 stories for him.
Well, there's looks like there's nails and material and rope. I had to escape out of the box. Somehow I had to reach Louise to survive. And there's a court, and he starts to gather together the materials that he might need to help get out of that box. There's where he hops down. Yeah, I'd be like, especially at my age, I would never be able to climb that. But I give him props for trying.
I'd have trouble climbing those stairs at full size right now. My knees aren't what they used to be.
And here's where he's calling his wife's name, but of course he's too small. She's not going to hear it.
Yeah, can't even hear them at this point. Really.
Women said, cats that eat people get dropped off in the wrong neighborhood by gorilla. And Captain Finity says, I prefer to eat the cat. So we're dropping
Before
him
he
off in
you.
we're dropping him off in Captain Finity's neighborhood.
Oh boy.
That's one way to do it.
Oh, speaking of cats, I got one being a real attention whore right now. He really wants some attention here.
By the way, this effect right here, let me see if I can get a short clip of this. Hopefully I won't get flagged. So they have these big water drops, and the way they were able to achieve this is they filled up condoms full of water.
Really?
Yep. And the cellar floor is stretched before me like some vast primeval plain, empty of life, littered with the relics of a vanished race. No desert island castaway ever faced so bleak a prospect.
Yeah. Okay, now that he's getting this small there, now can I complain about the molecules?
Possibly.
It'd be interesting to actually have somebody do a scientific analysis of the possibilities this film presents. And, I don't know if any scientist could even figure it out, but it would be interesting to hear somebody try, I suppose. Because I know diddly about, science. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't know either. And here's where he's under the water heater, and he found a box of matches, and he says he discovered a water supply and even a dwelling place. Now the search for food. I knew my ill-fitting clothes were unsuited to the exertions that lay before me. Now he's got this nail, and he uses it to tear the clothes. And here we have the wife and the brother-in-law packing. I don't know what I'm going to do. Lou, help me. Or she's still depressed. If I could just be sure, Charlie, maybe he's just hurt someplace. This is where she's thinking that, of course, the voice of reason. I could just be sure, Charlie.
She
Maybe
still has
he's
hope.
right. But then I would say, well, have you checked? Have you looked really thoroughly the entire house? No, I just kind of gave up on him as soon as I saw the dollhouse. Because think about it, she hasn't even went down to the basement yet at all. But of course, she'd have no way of thinking somebody his height is going to be down there. I guess. But if it was me, honestly, I would be crawling all over that house with magnifying glass, looking at least for some, like maybe torn clothes or a foot.
Anything, yeah, I get you for sure.
I just keep thinking that he
That,
needed
that
me and I wasn't there. So yeah, now she's feeling guilty because she feels like she abandoned him. And he's trying to comfort her. And now he's saying he'll talk to the real estate people. They need to get that house sold. She doesn't want to be there anymore. I couldn't allow myself to doubt. I would only to exist to search out enough food to sustain me, he says. Like I said, a lot of these props were used later on for the series Land of the Giants. That mousetrap is one of the things that they have on display at Universal Studios. I wish I could have seen. So now he's trying to figure out a way to get that cheese off of there without getting killed.
Now here's a question there. Wouldn't that cheese should be completely moldy there if he's the one that put it down there?
I guess they haven't established how long it's been down there.
Yeah, the problem with this prop too is you don't even have to touch that center thing. Those things will freaking snap on your fingers on that. At there, he should, as soon as he even kind of touched the wood, that thing will have snapped on him.
Well, our fingers are much bigger, but remember he's a lot lighter, so it may take a little more force than just that. So that's why he has to use the nail.
No, but he also has when he went to go grab the cheese, just that little bit of just touching it will trigger those things because they're just on there just a hairpin because they're meant to, as soon as that they're touched, that it snaps.
Oh,
Unless
yeah.
they made them way differently 60 years ago.
Nope, they're the same design.
Yeah.
Why mess with with something that works, right?
Yeah, and the way he's grabbing that cheese, that should have set that off, because a mouse ain't gonna grab onto the cheese just like that, that should have set that thing off. But I'm just nitpicking.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like, I suppose if you were hungry enough, you'd even eat moldy cheese. I guess at that point, wouldn't you?
I would.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
And
but
it does look like it's a little past its due date, actually, when I look
Yeah.
at it
But-
on the still here. Yeah, it
but
looks a
they
bit
set
moldy.
that spring way too tight on that, where it's not. Where because I've seen
Yeah.
those things, just a smallest little touch, and those things snap. And here he's grabbing onto the whole thing.
Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah. Oh well, the movie had to happen, I guess.
And
Well,
here's
this
where he
is sad.
springs. Right, he springs
Yeah.
the trap, and unfortunately, the chunk of cheese flies and then rolls into the grate, into the drain.
He's
And
just
he
not
runs
having,
forward, but
not having
yeah.
a lot of luck here.
that would be my luck too. I'll be like, oh dang.
Great sets once again, though the giant grate and man, the practical effects in this movie are very impressive.
Here's where he spots a piece of cake up on that ledge. So he
Oh,
wants
yeah.
to figure out a way to climb. And this is when he notices his nemesis. And this whole scene here with the spider is specifically seeing this movie when I was a kid freaked me out. And to this day, why I still will not eat crab or lobster is because of this movie and these scenes.
Really? Oh wow.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, but spiders, they're not really like crabs and lobsters. They might be.
Have you ever seen a
similar.
crab? What's the difference? It doesn't have the fuzzy hair.
Well, the thing is, I just take all the meat out of it, and I
I
eat it, and I
know.
don't even think about what the crab
Well,
looks like.
that's like it's like plucking the legs off a tarantula and eating them. I mean, it's just as nasty in my opinion. But
Well, I don't think it would taste quite the same, but that's just my
well, probably
opinion.
not. But it just they
Lobster, though,
look
I gotta
so.
say, lobster, you get the meat out of the lobster tail and dip it in some butter sauce, and it's absolutely
See,
delicious.
see, Pop. This is where we're completely opposite because it's just baby hungry for lobster.
Lobster is delicious.
That's what I get. Yeah, we spent a half hour talking about it last week,
Oh,
But
and here we have him pulling the pin out of the fin cushion,
yeah,
and he bends
I
it.
was gonna, oh, keep
Go
going.
ahead, go ahead,
No,
Gorilla. Yeah, something you want to say?
I was gonna say this movie here had a budget of $750,000 there, but which is about $7.3 million today. It's pretty good special. You don't get the effects like this in the $500 million movies.
No, in fact, yeah, like I said, now it would be all green screen, and it would be a $200 million movie, and it would stink.
well, the thing is, I wonder if
See,
there's
that's
even
another thing.
anybody that can build, practical effects on this large scale anymore.
Oh,
Like,
they could. Yeah, they have set designers that could, but they won't. They don't bother. They don't care.
mm,
But
yeah,
another thing with these older movies is you actually there was a sense of danger because you don't know if he's going to make it out or not. All modern movies, without exception, have to have a happy ending. So if this is a modern movie, not only would they find a cure, but they find a way to make him back to a regular sized man again. That's another
yeah,
reason why I don't
unless
like
maybe it was
modern movies.
unless
They're all
unless it
cookie
was
cutter
maybe like a
plots.
horror flick or something. Sometimes horror flicks just have to end badly because they're horror flicks.
I
uh,
mean, you hope.
yeah,
But I don't know.
but
Remember
yeah,
now you got the trope of the final girl. Now remember.
yeah. Well, there's too many films with happy endings in the last couple of decades for my taste.
Right. But every time you see a movie with a bunch of teenagers that are having sex and smoking pot, the
Oh, well,
first
they're
thing you're
dead.
doing is thinking, okay, which one? Well, yeah, but you're thinking which one's going to be the final girl. You're all thinking, okay, who's going to
Ah,
die first, in what order, and who's going to be the final girl? The virgin,
mm,
obviously, the one that's innocent, who doesn't smoke, who doesn't have sex, so on.
yeah.
Trope after
I just
trope
yeah. I
after
have no interest in
trope.
those teenager slasher films. They bore me actually.
Yeah.
Oh, this is another cool one
And I
with
like
the
this
bat.
scene. This is a cool scene where they actually build an actual oversized match, and he
This is
strikes it.
awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I thought, wow, this is really, really cool.
Yeah, what's cool, he only does it to burn the string.
The thing is, you got to think too, like like the actor's kind of putting himself at a little bit of risk because that thing sure flares up pretty hot, and he's not too far
Yes.
away from the flame, so.
Well, and you think too that not only that though, but he does a lot of actual physical activity in this movie without a stuntman.
Oh, yeah,
Like
for
climbing,
sure.
like what we're going to see here, climbing this. I could never do that. Now, oh God, maybe when I was in the military, I was 20, I might be able to, but not all those
Well,
slats like that. I think I'd probably be exhausted after the first one or two.
yeah, I kind of have a fear of heights anyway, so there's no way I could even think about it.
Just don't look down, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Grant Williams, though, for me, he's the thing that sells this film. His performance throughout I think, is just completely, pretty much perfect, really.
It is. He does a great job. But now stretching endlessly before me, I found a deep abyss. He needs to get across there, and all he sees is this paint stick.
Well, the one thing I was noticing on this, and first thing that came to my mind was, who stores their paint buckets like that? That's just an accident waiting to happen. First thing that came to my mind. It wasn't my fault, or wasn't how to come across this, or how's he going to do this? No, it's who stores their paint cans like that. Because especially the one with all the stuff on the side that's closest to us there, that was just hanging on this edge there. It's like a damn balancing act.
Yep.
That's a good point. Yeah,
And
pretty sloppy looking paint cans there. He could have cleaned them up a little better when he finished using them, you'd think.
Oh, I don't give a shit about how sloppy you are, but look how it's hanging off the edge.
Well, that's probably why it's hanging off the edge, because he just didn't give a damn. He's like, I don't care. I'm done with the paint can. Let it take care of itself.
And he doesn't clean his stirring stick either. It looks like.
Nope, that string stick ain't gonna be much good.
Yeah, it'll still be good, but you should always clean it up. No, the thing that got me on this too is he has this curved hook for climbing and all that. Why didn't he throw it across and have it stuck on something so that so in case he did fall, he'd still be able to climb back up with the rope and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Instead, he just throws it across and throws his sword across.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, not to be nitpicky here, but these are the first things that come to my mind of how stupid he was being.
Yeah.
So here's where the stick starts to come loose.
But I guess the whole point of this scene is suspense, right?
Yes. And he jumps just before the stick falls. And he struggles, but he's able to climb it.
He really does go through through the physical stuff in this film, though.
Yeah, a lot of physical endurance, and as the narration reminds us, he's also extremely hungry. So he's also weak.
Mm.
Remember, this is the ball of twine that was near where his wife was earlier when she was working on that dress on the mannequin.
Hmm.
And there was a piece of cake next to the spider web, which is a watch out in itself.
Hmm.
By the way, a reminder to everybody is in the book, it was a black widow, not a tarantula.
I was going to say, tarantulas don't build webs like that.
Yes, they had to actually place the tarantula in.
Yeah,
they had to place the tarantula into the web because they don't do that.
Yeah,
you're right.
Don't tarantulas burrow underground actually instead of building webs?
They do. Well, no, they lay webs. They'll lay webs around the burrow, but they do burrow underground. PvP, you are correct.
Okay. All right, I had to really laugh when I saw this. I laughed so hard that you could clearly see that it's styrofoam. I guess it wasn't that clear back in '57.
No. What it is, it's supposed to look like cake, which is full of holes.
I could immediately tell that was styrofoam.
But he's eating it. It showed him actually take bites out of it and chew, and so I don't think it's styrofoam.
No. What I watched the scene very closely. When he stabbed the thing under there, then he reached underneath it. So I'm guessing it's a carefully closed big prop because on that smaller piece that he's standing right there, he reached down below like he's grabbing from the bottom of it. So
I think they're trying to establish that when he stabbed it with the needle that a piece fell off. But yeah, obviously the prop is not real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Large piece.
Yeah. All right, let's catch up on chats here real quick.
Thank you, Gorilla.
Phantom says cats taste just like chicken. Lemon Pie says chicken cat shatori. Phantom says Lemon Pie delicious. Phantom says I don't eat seafood because I did my fast food sentence in fish and chips.
Oh, I need some fish and chips. I haven't had fish and chips in years.
I want fish, damn it.
Yeah, fish is good.
Pop, would it help to think of a crab as a hairless spider? Oh, no, wait, that wouldn't help at all.
No, not at all. Black Widow has no hair. No, thank you.
Phantom Boomer
Especially
says,
with her eyes look all over the place. No, thank you.
Yeah, Phantom Boomer says this was really well done. Edge of Time says, La Si Cucaracha. Cam says, I love some steamed blue crabs or lobster. Oh, I like the snow crabs. You gotta go. I like snow crabs. So, $200 million worth of fake bullshit. Says Phantom says gag. Skogly says bottom feeding insects.
That's
Phantom
what they are.
John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness ended badly.
Well, there are exceptions, and that's an older movie. I mean, exceptions. Like The Mist ended. I like the ending of The Mist. So it's a very rare exception when you get a surprise ending.
Oh, the ending to The Mist is amazing, and we're not going to spoil it here because I know people haven't seen it.
Yeah, I have not seen it.
Yeah, one of these nights we'll cover it. Yeah, we'll cover it one of these nights.
All right, Phantom Boomer said, I I did all sorts of climbing around where I didn't belong when I was young.
Oh yeah, I've been there and done that.
There's they call me Nobody's Channel. Edge of Time says, fun fact, lobsters was so common, it was considered cruel to feed it to prisoners more than twice a week. And Edge of Time said, yes, it wasn't considered back then. All right, that's all.
I just want
thank you.
to ask a quick question here. Why is there a piece of cake sitting on a shelf down in the cellar?
Well, the wife was eating it when she was down there earlier, when she was working on the dress of the mannequin.
Oh, damn,
and she left it in there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It makes perfect sense.
I'm guessing, considering there's no frosting on it, maybe like angel food cake, or what do you call it, sponge cake, pound cake, whatever that stuff's called. And here's where he looks to the grate. This was in the book.
So okay, I wanted to save this for later. I'm looking at this very closely. Okay, alrighty. So that'll come up later on at the end of the movie.
What's that?
That's great.
Yes.
And welcome, Sean Carter. Welcome.
Hello, Sean. Good to see you. Glad you could be here.
Hi, Sean.
And here's where he offers a piece of...
Apparently I missed our Captifinity comment here. Captifinity says, I have a fear of commitment.
That's what she said.
Yeah, Sean saying hi to Captain and Boomer. Oh, she says I'm out. See ya, Captifinity.
Night, Captain.
Take care, Captain. Thank you for stopping by. Good to see you.
Yeah. Howdy, Sean Carter. Says Phantom. And then Sean Carter says, Cam's Crash Courses. Hey, Cam. Hope you're doing okay. And then damn spelling. All right.
So here's where he offers a piece of food to the bird. The bird doesn't care. It flies off.
Yeah, why does he give his food away? Like if he's so hungry?
He goes. You got to remember, he thinks at this point that he's got that whole piece of cake to himself.
Oh, that's true. Okay, he's being a nice
guy.
And
if you remember, he actually says in the movie that once he broke off a piece of cake, he really doesn't have any appetite anymore.
Oh, he's getting to that point now, right?
Almost as far as I could see a grave, friendless area of space and time, and I resolved that as a man had dominated the world of the sun. Now he's being more philosophical. So I would dominate my world.
Yeah, it gets very metaphysical at the end here.
He decides to take that with him and throws those down to the ground where he's going to be heading. Save some place.
We got another good scene coming up here.
And here's where he gets chased by the spider, so he drops the cake and runs into the matchbox. And of course, the spider is climbing all over it. I gotta admit, that would be terrifying if I was in that situation. I could think of better ways to die.
Oh, the thing is, they'd probably put you in their web and feed on you slowly too, which would be even worse, right?
Probably, yeah. Don't they sting you? Don't they sting them? Their prey.
Yeah, they paralyze you. I think wrap you in their web, and then they come back for a snack every once in a while. I suppose. So.
That sounds really like a blast.
I'm glad I'm not an insect. Let's put it that way.
Most terrifying ever beheld by human eyes.
Oh boy.
Now here's where he's thinking that he's going to have to deal with that spider, because it's between him and the spider pretty much. And of course, Lou, his wife, says, Charlie, there's a trunk I'd like to take with me if you don't mind. It's down in the basement. I'll show you. I'll put these in the car first, he says. So the house is sold and she's moving out. And it looks like the water heater, of course, has sprung a leak. And the leak is getting worse. And it actually busts
Yeah. Wow.
which carries him like a river.
Yeah, another scene where he should have died.
Yeah, because it's like from the hot water tank, and it should be like boiling water, and he should be like boiling to death right now.
Well, that's their water heaters probably ran about 110, 120, but all that water it dropped straight down on top of him.
Well, another thing though, I mean, obviously the water heater's not been maintained if it springs a leak to this magnitude, right? So I'm thinking maybe the pilot light in that thing went out like ages ago, so maybe the water's not that hot.
No,
Here's
Yeah, the water.
hoping.
Yeah,
no,
water
'cause,
could have extinguished the spotlight.
well,
Sorry,
she
go ahead.
said she
Because
could
the
smell
water was
gas.
dripping for a while, right? So
Well, she said she could smell gas, and she wanted to make sure that he checked to make sure the pilot light was out when they
that's
come
probably
down.
why she smelled the gas though, because the light was out, right?
Well, the gas couldn't have been too bad, or else he'd be passed out dead.
No, it probably just happened like I would think, not too much before that, right? So
Yeah, that's what I'm
Well, there you
guessing
go,
too. I think.
Gorilla.
anyway, it's convenient
With
timing.
right, if there's gas out there, with the molecules and his size, shouldn't the gas be taking up more space in his lungs? And
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
here's another. Oh wait, never mind. The matches are probably wet. Never mind. I was gonna say you can really get their attention right there. Wants to draw attention, light a match. You'll get their attention, all right.
Yeah, they would see
it's a real
that.
signal flare.
But the question is, at his height, is it heavier than air? Isn't it usually lighter than air? Wouldn't it be higher where he would be under it? I don't know.
Could be.
I could look. I'll check this.
Water heater, I better. So here's where they notice the water heater, and she smells the gas. So he goes down to turn it off. And of course, he's yelling for help, and they can't even hear him.
Oh, he's so small at
He's
this
like,
point. Yeah, he's almost
like,
invisible
yeah.
to them, basically.
Yeah, kind of like an ant.
Mhm.
They would see him if they looked directly at him, but the problem is they're not going to. They have no reason to look.
Well, they're more concerned with the water heater, of course, right? So,
Yep.
and they think he's dead anyway. So,
Right. Mentally, they've already written him off.
yeah.
Okay, natural gas is a lot lighter than air because it's methane.
There you go. So
But yeah,
maybe
then he would have been safe down there for a while.
yeah.
And there he turns off the gas.
Hmm.
And he's trying to call his brother, and of course the brother's not going to see or hear him.
I just have a question about these water scenes when he's, floating around in the water here. Like, did they film this like in a tank somewhere in the studio, or
Yes.
is there any background information on that?
Give me a second, I'll look it up. But yeah, like that right there, you can tell it's a tank with the rear screen projection.
It's very convincing though when he's swimming around in the water, like hanging onto the pencil and whatnot, right?
Yes. I'm looking. There's not a lot of details on that. That's why I'm usually trying to go by what I can spot. And it looks like I said, where he's at is in a water tank. Then you have the pencil, which is the dividing line, and then it looks like an oversized shoe, perhaps, or rear screen projection.
Yeah, that would make sense, I suppose. Yeah.
Kind of a combination of all of them.
Yeah. Once again, though, he's doing a great physical acting job here. Like, wow.
Right, and here where we have obviously it's a real shoe, and it's blue screen to look like that it's bigger than he is.
Hmm.
Fortunately, they did not step on him.
Yeah.
And of course, all that effort for that trunk. And is that the trunk, Louise? Oh, yes, but don't bother about it. It's still wet. I'll pick it up later. It's okay, she says. Now they head back upstairs, and meanwhile, the drain is clearing out all the water because he did turn off the water supply.
Yeah, so now he's got no water, right?
Correct. And they leave. And he comes to. All the debris there that swept into the drain, and now he's cold. That's another thing that I wanted to mention here that's in the notes. Where is it? Where is it? Give me just a second. I'll find it. As Scott shrank, he should have felt colder and colder as his body became too small to retain heat. Most small mammals compensate for this by having fur and excess body fat. So this is the first time we've seen any indication that he's actually cold, but of course it's also because he's wet. But it does make sense. Meanwhile, that spider's still alive. So he hides from the spider. Now he decides to make a break for it, runs it back into the matchbox. I still have my weapons with these bits of metal. I was a man again. If I was to die, it would not be as a helpless insect. Strange calm possessed me, as if my mind were bathed in a brilliant light. I recognized a part of my illness was rooted in hunger, and I remembered the food on the shelf, the cake threaded with spider web. I remembered the food on the okay, same text. Like myself, it struggled blindly.
There were two spiders, though, right? The one on the basement floor and the one up above on the shelf.
I think they're saying it's the same spider. I don't know if spiders share spider webs, do they?
Well, I mean, the thing is, the spider on the basement floor, you know, the one up above, way high up on the shelf in the web. To me, they would seem like two different spiders.
They should be, but it's the same spider. It showed it crawling up the whatever, and it skittered away towards the web.
Oh, did it? Oh, damn, I forgot that. Oh, well. Not really a big deal.
Here he is trying to struggle to climb these again. Like I said, I give full props to the actor for doing a lot of the physical work. And this time he decides to just step across the paint.
I think Grant Williams really makes this film. He's just such a great actor in this.
Yes, I completely agree.
You know, I found him really bland, to be honest. I'm just like, he's like bland, disconnected.
Yeah, I find it the opposite. I find his performance very emotional for myself. So it's interesting how, you know, we can, you know, when it comes to art, people can experience the same thing in a way, but they see it totally different.
Two perspectives. Yeah, two different perspectives.
Which is why art's so great.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's the beauty of art. It really is.
Mm. Yeah, it's very personal.
So now he's thinking he can use that as a weapon to impale the spider.
Okay, this is one part
I have a nitpick. Hook that spider.
I'll have a nitpick here. Like, how heavy would these scissors be? These things would weigh like
they
tons
would be
for this little guy, right? You know,
right? Which they do establish that, don't they? Or does he? Because he does show him struggling to lift them.
Yeah, but he's still able to move them.
There it is.
Still, I mean, these things got to weigh hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds for a little guy like that, and he picks it right up, right? So, I don't like to nitpick too much, but that made me feel nicky picky.
Oh, finally, I'm rubbing off on you, PvP.
Hey, Gorilla, I can't argue with your logic. You do make a lot of good points, man. Oh, here we go.
Come on, you devil. I'm waiting for you. Come on. And he throws a piece of cake up to it and entices the spider. And now it starts heading down towards him.
No, I thought, was it cake he threw it at? My team picks up though. I thought he's throwing rocks at it.
I think it was a piece of cake. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I thought he picked up a couple rocks and threw it at the spider, then yelled at the spider.
Here's where the spider goes after him. And he quickly grabs the hook. And here comes the spider. And it's hard to catch it with the steel frames, but he is able to hook the spider with the hook. And it still advances on him. And there's the scissors. And here's where he tries to push the scissors over the ledge, hoping that'll pull the spider over the ledge. And now he realizes he's not able to lift the... Oh, he does knock the scissors off, that's right. But unfortunately, the string gets caught in a crevice of cement and snaps. So all that for naught. Now the spider heads towards him.
Yeah, he's having a very bad couple of months.
Yeah, as he's running away, he goes, "God damn it, I gotta fix that goddamn cement when it's bigger again."
Oh, boy.
See, I will rewrote this scene a little bit bigger or a little bit different there. When the spider went to charge him, oh, had him drop down on one knee and it like plant that needle on there, kind of like when back in the day when they still had like cavalry and all that. They'd have the pikes stuck in the ground so they could stab the horses up underneath them.
It's like a bear spear. Yeah. When you're out in the woods and you grab a stick and the bear's standing over top of you and you plant it down and it falls on top of it and by its own weight impales itself.
Yeah. Or kind of like in Lord of the Rings when they do the charging there, you know how they get on the knees and they stick their pikes right in the ground.
Yeah, but I don't think the needle is long enough. Because if you see the needle in his hand, that wouldn't be long enough for him to use it like that. The spider is higher than that, so he's going to have to reach up and impale the spider.
Is that a needle or a pin?
Pin.
Well, pin, whatever pin.
So a pin's even going to be shorter than a needle, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
good point on that, Pop.
Which I like that because here's another thing too. Another thing, if he impaled it like what you guys are talking about, that's not as scary as what we're getting ready to see here. So I like the way they did this, where he actually sees the gaping mouth of the spider coming down on him. This reminded me of the fly, when it had the little fly in the web at the very end. That was one of the most frightening things that stuck in my mind as a kid.
You're talking the 60s fly, right?
So, yeah, with the Vincent Price, the first one.
Vincent Price one, yeah.
And David Headings,
Yeah, that was a great movie. That's another one you should
put this scene right here. This specifically, to be exact, is why I don't eat crab right here.
Oh, that is nasty, I gotta say.
And it's scarier. It's scarier than just holding up a stick or something and having the spider just fall on it. I mean, I know that we see that in a lot of movies, but I like this better where he actually has to kill it. Where it shows the spider with opening its mouth, getting ready to just chomp on him. And he's got to reach up and stab it. And as he does that, all the blood and all that goo and pus and everything from the spider is just dripping down on him.
Oh, that's really gross. Yeah, that's really gross.
That could be kind of cool though. After he stabbed him, all that goo was falling on him. That was magically the damn cure for the sickness, like the goo from the spider there and counteracted the radioactive insecticide that's shrinking him.
Now that would have been hilarious. That would have been a great end. Well, I'm glad the film didn't end that way, but that would have been a nice alternate ending.
Yeah, it might have been more like
he's completely cured. Oh, that's a good one. It kind of makes sense too, because I mean, insecticide, spider, could be.
So the spider dies, and he crawls out from under it, and he's covered with
tragic.
And
yeah, that was gross. Like, man, he needs a shower now. Like now there's no damn water in the water tank, so he's got to have the spider goo on him.
Like even now when he goes over to the cake, that needle has still got blood all over it. I mean, he wipes it off a little bit on his clothes, but he's not really there. He wipes it a little bit, but he's still so hungry. He still goes after that cake.
Oh, that's
PvP. I think a shower is the least of his worries right now.
You got a good point there.
And look at the size of a drop of water. Anyway. Yeah. And you notice that the cake has gotten bigger since the last time, or when we first saw him standing next to it.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is where he says there's no hunger. That's right. This is where the point where he has no hunger. So he climbs back up to the grate.
This is probably my favorite part of the film, the last few minutes, when, Richard Matheson's script gets totally metaphysical here. It's just like kind of about the mystery of the universe or something. I think it's quite a beautiful ending.
Over the man of the future, right? So all he knows now is that he can think of is the world out there.
Yeah, and now look at the difference from earlier there, what I was pointing out versus like before he couldn't fit his head through there. Right. Now he can fit his whole body.
His head was barely enough to squeeze. Yep. It's such a great idea. All they do is take the props and make them bigger and bigger, so it makes them look smaller and smaller.
So
I think, the dialogue at the end here is just awesome.
Yeah. So what happens when he gets down to the size of a freaking?
Well, that's what the narrator is talking about now. The unbelievably small and the unbelievably vast eventually meet, like the closing of a gigantic circle. as if somehow I would grasp the heavens, the universe, God's silver tapestry spread across the night. And in the moment I knew the answer to the riddle of the infinite, I had thought in terms of man's own limited dimension. I had presumed upon nature that existence begins and ends in man's conception, not nature's. And I felt my body dwindling. My fears melted away, and in their place came acceptance. All this vast majesty of creation, it had to mean something. Yes, more than the smallest, I meant something too.
Yeah, I just think that's beautiful writing at the end there. Matheson wrote some. Did Matheson write the screenplay? Because that's just beautiful writing
Sure
at the end.
did. Yes, the book and the screenplay.
It's just so poetic, and it kind of sums up the mystery of existence. You know, when I watch that film every time, it's like, wow, this ending is just it's mind boggling in a way
Yes, and
because you know
at first the studio
it's just deep,
Universal, yeah,
so
at
deep.
first the studio Universal at first they were against it having not a happy ending. We'll put it that way. But Richard Matheson
Huh.
stuck to his guns. Yeah, because believe me, all along the way they kept, well, can't he be cured? I mean, can't you do this and this? And Richard Matheson's, nope, we're going to stick to my book, and that's it.
Well, the
I'm
thing
glad he
is, if
did.
it cured him, we wouldn't have had that last scene, and the whole point of the film really was to deliver those last lines of dialogue.
Yes, and I think what he is describing basically is he's getting smaller and smaller as time goes on.
Oh, your
Oops,
mic is cutting out
can you
again a
hear
bit
me?
there, Bob.
Hello, hello.
On and off. You were kind of cutting out a few times.
I don't know why it does that. My connection seemed to be all right, but I think what he was describing was he was basically shrinking down to like the size of a molecule or an atom. And I think that's what they're kind of explaining in this whatever that stupid Ant Man movie is. That's what they're trying to explain that world is. It's like below the molecular level. But I'm not going to bother seeing it. Even if it's
Yeah,
free, I'm not going to watch that garbage.
I think it's at at the end there where he was like melting away or whatever. I think it was like he was just becoming so small that he was basically entering into a state of non-existence, which I found fascinating because when you think about life, I mean, we all begin in a state of non-existence, right? Before we're born, we don't exist, you know. So I always thought that was a very deep, deep, line that he was basically just melting into the universe and whatever the mysteries, that embraced him. He was, completely content with willing to face those at that point.
Exactly, yes. And Sean Carter says, in his belly, you will find a new definition of pain and suffering as you are slowly digested over 1,000 years. And Phantom Boomer says, nice car. Sean Carter said they did the impaling thing in Braveheart very brutally. Sean says the pen is mightier than the sword. Yeah, absolutely, Sean. How very Buddhist. The more we look inward, the smaller we make our universe, the more we can understand the simplicity of reality. Yeah, very cool. By the way, I'll remind everybody I do have a poll in the chat. If you get a chance, please feel free to vote on what you grade you would give this movie. And while we're at it, if you're watching this on the rerun, the poll is closed, but please hit the like button, maybe sub to my channel, and check out some of my other streams. I have Star Trek and Lost in Space and Gilligan's Island and a whole bunch of good stuff. And I highly recommend all these wonderful people in the chat. They all have wonderful channels. And Boomer, I don't know if you're still here or not, Phantom Boomer, but let me know if you got my Twitter link to send me the link to your channel, and I'll check it out. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that poll up so we can take a look at it. Oops, go a little higher. There we go. Pop out chat. All right. And go to StreamYards and share this. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll. And let's see if it tries not to hide from me. There we go. What grade would you give The Incredible Shrinking Man? It looks like, oh, nice. B plus to B minus got 64% of the vote. A equals, I forgot to, it should have been A plus to A minus, but that got 28%. C plus to C minus got a 7. And the good news is nobody gave it a D plus to an F minus, so that's
Oh
fantastic.
shoot! I forgot to vote.
Oh, except for Gorilla, of course, with the exception of Gorilla.
Oh,
So,
Gorilla.
so Gorilla, what grade would you give this movie? And tell us about your channel.
Well, I could really drag this movie down by nitpicking, like the lamp not falling on the cat there, or like the slight different rewrites there and stuff, or or the stuff that might am not acting like stuff's heavy until the very end, But overall, C plus B minus there, like it was good, but some of the effects didn't age well, and there was a few very big nitpicks on my end there that I had there that I pointed out throughout the movie. Plus, we didn't get the lady in the bikini.
No, we didn't get the lady in the bikini. Sorry to disappoint you, Gorilla.
Yeah, I didn't drag it for that. I know, 1950s, we got a little bit more modesty there. But, nah, it's like a B minus to a C plus there.
All right. Well, tell us about your channel, Gorilla.
Well, let's see. Tomorrow night, I got my Time Cop watch party. It's actually a pretty decent show, but too bad it only had 8 episodes. So,
what made you pick that show?
What
made you choose Time Cop? What made you pick that show to cover?
Well, I decided on Wednesdays I wanted to do like shows that like short shows, like or like with fewer episodes there, like a season or two.
Oh, okay.
All that. And Jeremy just happened to mention Time Cop, and it seemed interesting. It seemed interesting, so we decided it was only 8 episodes.
Cool.
Next, so after Time Cop, we're going to End of the Fucking World.
Okay.
Yeah, don't yell at me for that F-bomb. It's actually in the title of the show. But I'm kidding.
I take it wasn't originally on the Disney Channel.
Netflix. The Netflix special.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney actually did have titles like that these days.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
As long as it has a trans star, it would be right.
Yeah. It was that Netflix special about 2 sociopaths, and they end up killing let's just say child they break into a person's house, and this person happens to be like let's just say he likes the younger generation, but
Gotcha.
he ends up dying and all that, and so they go on the run from the cops and stuff. It's actually a pretty decent show in my opinion.
Cool.
But
nice.
Then Thursday, if I get home in time, I'm not sure what I all got going on Thursday. I got a hectic week with Easter coming up, so I might be at my sister's for a while on Thursday, helping her get ready for stuff.
Ooh, you're gonna send us some. You're gonna send us some shorts of all that food you're gonna be eating, right?
Oh yeah, we'll make plenty of shorts for that for you. Especially, right. I got a 10-pound ham in the freezers that I got. So.
Well, I look forward to the shorts because I won't be eating in this Easter dinner, so I want to see what you guys have.
I'm gonna pull the lamb chops out for the actual Easter supper.
Cool.
But Thursday night I will be on Netter's Network at 9:00 Central Standard Time. Real nice, wonderful lady, real funny. We're just gonna sit there and talk about how I got started and all that. She's a real nice lady. You should check her out and all that. And then
hey, Gorilla, can you put a link for her channel into the chat or something so we can check it out?
Yeah. So then on Friday we'll be having a Walton's review, and I learned my lesson with letting YouTube trim my stuff. So anyhow, so we'll have a Walton's review. It's I can't remember the title of the episode moment there, but they're, they're but so yeah. Then there's no Babylon 5 on Saturday. Then on Sunday, we I'll be on Ryan Rogers Athletes channel at some time there, and then on then later that night we will be watching The Last Starfighter.
Nice.
Cool.
Ryan's a real nice guy.
And
He's the face of the We Grow Together. They're promoting everybody with this rising.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Yep. And good to see you, Sean Carter. Welcome.
Hey guys. Sorry, I just popped in at the end to say hello. And Gorilla, it's funny. Like I was looking at your avatar of the gorilla giving the certain finger, and it reminded me of when I was little. I watched The Incredible Shrinking Woman about 1 billion times for some reason when I was very small. And there's a scene in an elevator shaft when the gorilla helps Lily Tomlin escape. The door opens and the gorilla flips off the guys that are chasing him. So I thought it was kind of an interesting little tie-in to the movie and the spin-off idea.
Right. Yeah, Sean. And Sean, to be honest, I know I said I didn't like The Incredible Shrinking Woman, but the main factor, Sean, honestly, is because it has Charles Scrotum in it, and I cannot stand that man. He cannot act. He's like a piece of wood. Everything he's in stinks.
Did you say Charles Scrotum?
Close enough. Close enough.
Forgot to change my avatar. Why did I switch my avatar to that?
You know what, Pop? I totally agree with you. With one exception, there was a movie, a movie that's near and dear to my heart called Dave. Do you know that movie with Kevin Kline?
Dave's
I'm sorry. I don't like Kevin Kline either. He took BB Cates away from me.
There's a movie with Kevin Kline called Dave where they recruit him because he looks like the president. It's a funny little sticky movie, and Charles Grodin plays an accountant, and his wry personality is perfect, and it just fits. It just fits that movie.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but anyway, I popped in because I thought it was funny because when I was little, that scene would come up with the gorilla would flip everyone off, and I would always rewind it a million times. And my mom would go, "Why do you keep like?" I was little, but she had to.
You're gonna wear that tape out, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I switched it in the backstage. I forgot to change it back because we were talking with PVB and Pop Culture. They're asking about how to change avatars, and then I changed it to this one here. I guess I never did change it back and didn't even.
Well, Gorilla, what's he holding in his hand? What is that?
Let's see.
It looks like a slice of pizza or something.
Bacon? I think it's bacon.
Bacon.
We'll go with bacon.
Okay.
Yeah, bacon's good.
So we have a carnivore. Okay. And I want to mention Cam says, Sean Carter, howdy. Lemon Fire says, hi there, Sean. And Phantom Boomer says, still here. Sent you the link. Thank you, Phantom. Herc 130 says, there are some shifty characters in the chat tonight. LOL. Oh, I'm glad you can make it, Herc. Cam says, Pop Culture thanks everyone on the panel in the chat. It was fun. Take it easy and be well. You too, Cam. Have a great night. And let's see here. I'm trying to make sure I cover all these. Lemon Pie, guilty as charged, Herc. Phantom Boomer says, Herc 130. And Herc says, hey, aha, Lemon Pie. I took a break after New Zealand sunk. It takes them a few hours to refloat it, so I thought it would get a snack. And Herc says PB, and Sean Carter says, hail Herc 130. Phantom Boomer says, is that gorilla holding a piece of bacon? Yes, he is. I think we've come to that conclusion.
Yeah, the only reason I have the only reason I have this picture, that's the thumbnail I used for my Defensive Thursdays when I was still doing that.
Gotcha. And Herc says, hail to Sean Carter. And that's just a link there. That's the what do you call it? The stream channel that Gorilla was talking about. And Netter's Network. I'm not sure what I've never heard of it.
Netter's Network.
I don't know why All right, did you put did I put the link in there? Or did you? You did. Okay, got it.
But
Thank you.
whenever I
Thank you. All
post
right.
anything from StreamYards here,
Yeah, it shows my name.
yeah, Nether's
That's
Network's
right.
one I'll be on Thursday, and Ryan's the one I'll be on Sunday.
Gotcha. Okay, and PvP. What say you? What would you rate or grade this movie? And tell us about your channel.
Well, I decided to give it an A. I just think it's a great film, even though some of the special effects are a little shaky for a 1950s film. But I was particularly impressed by Grant Williams' performance. I thought it was pretty much spot on in every scene. I thought he was um, very magnetic in his performance, especially that ending scene. But I mean, that's a lot to do with Richard Matheson's great writing as well, of course. But I thought it all came together, and of course, the practical effects team that built all of that, gigantic stuff. I mean, got to give him kudos, right? Like that was
Oh
so
yeah.
well done, and yeah, it's just a really good story. It starts off as kind of your basic sci-fi, 50s flick, but thanks to Richard Matheson's script, it does get pretty damn deep towards the end of the film. So it's one of those films that I saw as a kid, and even as a kid, I got caught enough. I mean, of course, I love the spiders, but as a kid, even I could grasp some of the deeper, stuff going on in the film. So yeah, I just think it's a classic film. And I just want to add that 50 sci. Do you guys think that 50 sci-fi films maybe get a bad rap for being cheesy or silly or just like giant bugs and
It
stuff?
depends on the generation. It seems like the younger generations are the ones that seem to be a little more harsher on them. Us older people
Yeah,
are more forgiving.
because I mean, when I think of 50 sci-fi, I'm thinking of like this film. I'm thinking of like Forbidden Planet. Them. All kinds of really, really good, solid films that were made back in that decade. Well, War of the Worlds, for instance. There's so many great films from the 50s in this genre that I do think the 50s sci-fi genre does not get the respect that it really deserves.
It doesn't, and it doesn't help either. Is you have the new generations that are used to CGI, which has really ruined everything. I know a lot
I'm
of
not
people
a
like
fan of
CGI, but
CGI.
I'm not. Same here. I'm not a fan either. Oh yeah, what about
Well, it's like
your
yeah,
avatar? I just realized your avatar is back to
I
your old
know
avatar.
totally screwed up tonight. I forgot to change it out to my new rock and roll
that's
avatar. I was so
that's
in a
okay.
hurry to just get on and not miss everything that I just
That's
forgot.
okay. I promise I won't call the avatar police.
But that's
So,
okay.
real quick,
Yeah.
to be fair, I grew up in the '80s, and even by then, I was born in '74, and growing up in the '80s, by that time, the '50s special effects were starting to wane, and even I was like a little bit like, and but the only thing that saved me was my father was the one who got me into these movies and got me to respect them. So yeah, I know the younger generation today for sure uh, rejects this stuff. But even as early as the '80s, we were starting to get a little spoiled, and
Yeah,
we
you
wanted
got a
action and pew pew and lasers and special effects, and then the deep intellectual sci-fi really kind of went away. But um, that's just my take.
No, I think that's
you
a
got
good
a
take.
whole generation or two that won't even watch stuff because it's in black and white. Look at all the people
Well,
that won't even
yeah,
watch Three Stooges anymore. I mean, that's sad.
that's my thought too. Is like anybody to me who can't explore the past because something's in black and white is like, I don't know. It's like, are you really that superficial? You can't watch an
Yeah,
absolutely
and
fantastic, magnificent story just because
that's
it's
just
in
it,
black
right?
and
Right?
white.
They don't realize what they're missing. Right? They don't realize what they're missing is the
Oh,
problem.
yeah,
So PvP,
they're
I'm
lost.
superficial. So PvP, I'm superficial.
Oh, you come on. You're watching black and white films. You're not superficial.
I wasn't watching them until till I started going to started with Mr. Lundell's channel there when he started coming to mine. So I subbed to his and ended up having to listen to a few of them. But before that, I hardly watched any.
No,
I
I
noticed
think
you,
people that
girl. I
review.
noticed you said you had
My
to listen to them. Somebody forced you.
my
No,
point.
I subbed to Mr. Lundell because he started coming to my channels and that. I kind of So I was kind of like returning the favor with him.
My point was, Gorilla, that people who absolutely refuse to ever, never watch a black and white film, are missing out on so much great stuff. And I think anybody like yourself who's willing to give it a shot, like you did tonight watching this film, I mean, it's like total respect, right? I mean, it's like it's like food. You don't know if you're going to like it until you taste it, right? So give it a taste, give it a try, and you never know, you might actually really enjoy it.
I
That's
have hope for the current. I have hope for the current young generation. Like my daughter. Like I think the millennials are a lost cause. But like my daughter is like a Zoomer. She's like 16 right now. She's willing to watch this old stuff. So is my son to an extent.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you expose them to it. Yeah, that's thanks to you, Sean, because you expose them to it. A lot of parents don't bother that anymore. They just stick a phone in their hand and say, "Go for it."
He said if you're not willing to try new food, you might never know you might like it. I'll tell you right now, I'll never eat Rocky Mountain oysters. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I don't think any of us will. Yeah,
no worries there. I do think that Pop should try lobster though.
No thanks. I'm old enough for I've lived long enough without it. No thanks.
Here,
I tried to
PvP. I did once. Just try it once.
PvP. I did. I went to a steak and lobster restaurant, and I did. I took one bite and didn't like it. It was bitter, bitter with no flavor. I didn't like it.
I'll cook it for you.
No thanks.
I know how. I know how to draw the flavor out real good.
Depends how good the restaurant is, though, too, Pop.
So Phantom Boomer. Well, it was an expensive restaurant. I gave it an A. Says Phantom Boomer.
Just because it's expensive.
And Cam says I gave it a B. Well, I don't know. If you got to put a sauce on it,
I'm just having fun.
No, I know, but like steak, you can have a good steak without having to put any kind of sauce on it. And when people say, "Well, you got to have lobster with butter and all this," that's like, no. I gave it a B plus. Was enjoyable.
It's like French fries with ketchup.
It does, yeah, it doesn't because so many movies were made that are nowhere near as good as others. And Cam says, "Yeah, my roommate won't watch black and white or subtitles." That's I know people won't watch subtitles. When I hear people say, "Well, I don't want to read my movie," I'm like, "Well, your loss. Your loss." Cucaracha Del Mar says Phantom Boomer.
My problem is there with subtitles and all that is when you have to read the damn movie. There is either if you don't read them fast enough, then they go away, then you get totally lost. Or if you look away for a minute, then all of a sudden you lose track of what the conversation's actually saying.
Yeah. I can understand someone avoiding subtitles. That's a fair thing.
I like subtitles, but if I'm watching a movie with subtitles and I know I'm going to be looking away, I'll pause it so I don't miss what they're saying.
Well, that's the thing. I think it depends on the version, the translation you're getting to, because there's a lot of foreign films that have several different versions available, and sometimes the subtitles, the guys doing the subtitles do a really, really good job as far as the timing, and then other times they'll totally screw it up, right? So you got to find a good copy with a well done subtitle. But I think people like Akira Kurosawa's films, for instance, like oh God, what's this big epic samurai 3.5 hour movie? I can't think of it. Yeah, I mean, that's a great film. Anybody who hasn't seen that film, it's fantastic, and I can watch it all day long. And the subtitles don't bother me at all.
The Last Samurai.
Well, what I do,
Seven Samurai.
Oh, I gotta say the Last
Samurai. Seven Samurai. It was the influence for Magnificent Seven. But when it comes to the subtitles, I go in and edit them myself if I don't like them. And I have some movies where they came with no subtitles, and I made my own.
Oh, cool. Wow.
There's a really good Japanese movie. Is it Japanese or Chinese? I think it's Japanese, called A Man Who Was Superman. And it came with some really, really, really crappy subtitles. Whoever translated did not do a very good job. And it took me a couple of days, but I went and I completely reworked the subtitles, and now it's magnificent, and it's a great movie. And without that, another one too was Big Man Japan. It's a kaiju movie, and it was a great movie. Because you wouldn't hear it. It's too bad. They're really good movies. But I do agree.
Anybody think of maybe doing a foreign film stream on YouTube like once a week? That would be kind of cool.
Well, if you can find the audience for it.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, I guess. Yeah.
Personally, I think the best subtitle jobs I've ever seen were it's a little known Criterion collection of Marcel Marcel.
Oh yeah,
that's
Best
a good one.
subtitle, most accurate you can ever find.
oh, right. You
That's
definitely
good.
no mistakes there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, no errors there.
Right, and you don't have to pause it either.
yeah. I was waiting for the bomb to drop there. Like you understood that.
Oh, that was good.
Well,
That was very good.
us older people know everybody. For you, younger
I got that
generation,
pretty
he
much
was
right away.
right. For you younger guys, he was a mime, and he didn't speak except
Yeah.
for one movie, right?
I think there was a
But
movie where he said what, one single word or something.
but he trained a lot of classical actors back in the day. Agnes Moorehead studied under him, and that's
He
what
was
helped her
talented.
performance in the Twilight Zone episode, The Invaders.
He was very talented.
That was one of my favorite episodes of all time sci-fi. The Invaders was such a good. The only words in that episode are the end when you realize it's the United States astronauts calling for help.
Yes, and they're right. They're trying to get the hell out of there, right? And that's the same ship from Forbidden Planet.
Oh, was it?
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yep, exact same model from Forbidden Planet.
Cool.
That
episode.
was got to be one of the coolest sci-fi stories of all time for me. That little twist at the end.
And can anybody guess who wrote it? Richard Matheson.
Well, there you go. Wow, that kind of ties things up in a nice bow.
Right, same guy who wrote this movie here that we just watched.
Wow.
So PvP, tell us about your channel.
Well, that's why I should have put my new rock and roll icon on, which I forgot to do because my channel is basically music based right now. I haven't still got around to doing any actual real, original video content. So it's basically music playlists, lots of albums, lots of channels, playlist streams with a lot of videos. I got like a Canadian band, video stream with like 120 different videos on it, so you could watch that for a lot of hours. Yeah, and check out all the great bands that Canada's produced over the decades. So I mean, basically, it's all about music. Yeah, at this point.
Any PvP, any music links like you were talking about earlier? If you can, send them to me with Twitter, because after the stream's over, I lose all the private chats.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I will. I will do that. And you are sub to my YouTube channel, right? Pop,
correct.
I would think.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm always uploading. I usually try and upload at least a couple albums a week on there. So if you want to just go onto my YouTube channel and just check, click on my playlists, you'll probably find the newest stuff that I've recently uploaded there. I'm actually thinking. Well, since I mentioned Nick Lowe tonight with his song about Mary Provost, the tragic silent film star who got eaten by her kitty cats, I will actually I'm going to put that album up tonight because that's a really great album and it's really got a lot of great songs. And Nick Lowe was pretty cool back in the 70s. I imagine you guys have probably never heard of him. Well, you said "Cruel to Be Kind," right? That was a hit you recognize, Bob?
Yeah, that's one of his songs. He performed here in California in the Bay Area a lot too. Back in the day,
he did. Well, I think he's still actually active. I think he does still tour a bit. So
I think he does.
Long career.
He's also done some covers. He has also done covers of other famous bands and songs.
I'm sure he has. He's had basically. I think he started in the 70s, kind of around the time like he was like a label mate. Well, I think Stiff Records was where he started, recording for, and there were people like Elvis Costello that were, releasing stuff on that label too back in the late 70s or early 80s. So, yeah, he's an interesting guy. He's definitely had a very, very, very interesting career.
I completely agree. Yes.
So, I will post on my YouTube channel if you want to check that album out.
Thank you. Lemon Pie says, a good lobster is sweet with no sauce needed. Phantom Boomer says, good night all early. I must get up in the morning. Good night, Phantom Boomer. Thank you for joining us. Scogly says, one of my best friends could barely read, so more than a few times I read out subtitles for them. Well, that's very cool of you, Scogly.
That's cool, Scogly.
Cam says, Phantom Boomer, night. Take it easy. And Herc 130 says there is something about the tone of the voice, cadence of dialogue, pauses, framing, overacting, underacting, shadows, cuts at moments of horror, and overall pacing of the 50s and 60s movies that I love. I completely agree with you. Cam's Crash Course says, "Yeah, I gotta go too. Night, everyone. And good night, Cam. Yeah. Okay.
Night,
So
Cam.
there we go. Now,
your
turn, Nemesis.
Oh, shit. Okay, go ahead, Nemesis.
Yeah, Nemesis, what grade would you give this movie? And tell us about your channel, please.
Oh, I'd probably a C plus to a B minus. I was pretty bored throughout most of it. I really enjoyed the oversized set pieces, though. That was really well done. Really nice touches for me. I enjoyed like the cat scene, the spider scene. It's classic, right? It's classic 50s where you're just like, oh, yep, here we go. But it was really well done. It wasn't hokey. So yeah, for the most part, yeah, solid C plus to a B minus.
I appreciate it. Now tell us about tell us about your channel, please.
Of course. Thank you, Paul. I do gaming. So lately I've been doing a lot of survival games. I've been playing The Long Dark, which is basically a Canada simulator. If you want to watch me play that, or Stranded Deep, which is like the opposite of that, where I'm stuck on a bunch of islands and just trying to survive, not getting eaten by crabs and boars.
Oh.
No giant spiders?
No giant spiders as of yet. We'll see. Well, God knows.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Nemesis. And I like that game. I know I mentioned it in your chat, but that one that looks like the 1920s and 30s cartoons. I think that's very cool. I like the look and the music of that.
Oh, Cuphead. Yeah, it's like super hard, but it's like oddly zen for me. Like I can throw myself and die like 1,000 times. Like I'm sure hey, if you want to watch me die, do it. Fantastic. I'd love to have you there. Anyone who wants to come, gladly have you.
Oh yeah, and Gorilla has a stream that's kind of like that, where it's like let's all watch him die in Minecraft.
Nice.
Sean Carter, since you're here, would you like to give us a grade of this movie and tell us about your channel?
Yeah, I give this an A because it's 50s sci-fi, and they took a big risk, knowing that it didn't look real, and they told a really interesting story with what an incredible ending. And also, anytime where you get a director, especially back then, kind of fighting the machine of the production company, of saying no, I'm having an unhappy ending, you got to give them props. Special effects, of course, but if you can suspend your disbelief and just kind of put yourself there, it takes you on an interesting ride with a very zen, very introspective ending. It makes you think, and I think any movie that makes you think deserves an A.
Yep, I totally agree.
My thoughts exactly.
And and Sean, tell us a little bit about your channel and your model building.
Oh yeah, so the sci-fi model guy. I've currently posted chapter 7 of my build series of the Enterprise. It's about a 15-inch long model, and that one is one I sent to Mexican Iron Man, and he had a reaction video on it, so you can check out his channel if you want to see it.
Yeah, I saw that. It was hilarious. Yeah, he's definitely.
I gotta take a look at that.
I almost had a heart attack. If you watch it, he tilts the box downward, and I was like, no!
Oh no!
Don't tilt it. And if you look at it carefully, you see it kind of flop off of the stand, and I'm like, no! But thankfully, it survived the shipping, and
it looks fantastic.
Was able to put it back together. But yeah, thank you. So that one I'm just almost getting. I think I got 2 more chapters to post for that, and I'm currently, even as I'm talking right now, working on my next build series, which is the USS Enterprise C from yesterday's Enterprise, one of my favorite episodes.
Oh, that's a great episode.
Is that the one that was captained by Frasier?
No, that was
No.
called Cause and Effect. That was
Okay.
Captain Bateman. No, it was the USS Bateman.
Okay, so the Enterprise C was the one where Tasha Yar had a second chance to go back and help. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Tasha Yar one.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. All right, yeah, now I remember. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I just think the Enterprise C is my favorite Star Trek ship of all time. It really mixes the original ship with the Enterprise D. It's a perfect marriage between them. It's a compact, tough little ship, and I love it. So I'm recording the series for that right now.
Cool.
It's funny because I always thought the D looked like an AMC Pacer.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're familiar with the C, the where like the deflector is, like the main engineering hull looks much like the Enterprise A. And the saucer section is not as much of a disky type of. There's thickness to it. They really did a great job designing it, I think.
Yeah, one thing Trek did good was and did well was their ships.
Mm-hmm.
And I give the movie an A. I appreciate the special effects. I loved it as a kid. I remember even as a kid, I was sad when he went out, and I didn't even young. I understood the ending where he pretty much went into non-existence. And like I said, the spider scenes had a big effect on me my entire life. And I know to modern audiences, they might have a problem with the pacing in this movie. I know it may seem slow to them sometimes, but I enjoyed it for what it was. But I'm used to it. I can handle movies if they have a slower pace as long as they're written well. You got to remember a lot of the horror movies now that people watch have really bad slow pacing, but people are willing to watch that. So I guess it all depends on a matter of taste. But
yeah, it's too much tell. They tell, they don't show.
Yeah, it's a lot of exposition now, or PvP and I have spoken about it, where those horrible nightmare sequences where they have a nightmare and they wake up and nothing has changed. The movie resets back to zero. Another nightmare scene that resets back to zero, and it's like, oh my god. Or the cheap jump scares. I don't like modern horror. I don't think we'll ever see a good modern horror movie ever again.
Yeah,
the movie it was a travesty. I hated that movie so much, both parts, 1 and 2, that I'm worried because Bill Skarsgård, the guy that played the clown, he signed up for the remake of Nosferatu, and that really has me worried. So, but it's in the hands of a good director, so I hope the guy can maybe come out with a good product. Who knows?
I think he'll do fine. He's a pretty eerie looking dude, and he seemed to embrace it. I didn't consider it as a horror movie. I didn't watch it as a horror movie at all.
Well, it's supposed to be scary. That's the whole thing. It wasn't.
Well, we'll see. This would be an interesting discussion. I know we don't have the time for it now, but I think it's supposed to be scary for the characters. I don't think it's necessarily supposed to be scary for the audience.
Oh, then maybe because I thought maybe I had a disconnect because I didn't read the book, but maybe is that how the book is too, where it's not really scary?
I don't know. I didn't read it. Read it, but from the movie, what I got was it was more of a story about a group of friends helping each other and coming together through a hard time. You could have been a horror, it could have been a kidnapping, it could have been anything, but they chose this horror thing to get them through it. So I didn't see it as a scary movie for me. I thought the characters were scared. I wasn't.
All right, guys, I got to bail, so I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
I know. Sorry about that, Gorilla.
Yeah.
Have a good night, Gorilla. I'll see you. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Yeah, I've got to wrap this up, guys. I was upgraded.
Real quick before you go, Pop.
It's going on. It's going on midnight soon for him. Anyway, go ahead, Sean.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just real quick. This movie is funny. Like as I was watching the scenes and everything, it reminded me of the Laurel and Hardy episode called Brats. Have you guys seen that?
I just watched that a couple weeks ago. In fact, yeah, I just introduced Gorilla. Just left. He has never seen Laurel and Hardy, and I showed him Bratz about a month ago.
It's such a funny that episode is so good. It's one of the rare ones you see Ollie without a mustache.
Yes, I'm a big, big, big fan of Laurel and Hardy. I have all their movies. I've watched their movies and their shorts over and over. And I even climbed the Laurel and Hardy steps several times in LA.
That's the one where they took the piano.
With the piano?
The piano.
Yeah, the piano,
love
the
that.
music box.
I love that film.
So my father was a rabid Laurel and Hardy fan. He grew up, my dad was born in 1945. He grew up
I
with it,
feel like he had good taste.
Oh yeah, and he introduced them to me, and he's the one who gave me my love of movies and everything. But when my dad grew up in Santa Monica, and that's where Stan Laurel lived, and Stan Laurel was notoriously, he was famous for, he would talk to people that called him. He had his phone number listed, and my dad called him one time.
His number was listed.
That's so cool.
It's listed in the phone book, right? People would call Stan.
Wow. Exactly
right.
So
people would just call him out of the blue, and he would talk to them on the phone.
Yeah, and my dad did. My dad mustered up the courage and called Stan Laurel one day when he was about 10 years old.
Oh my.
And he answered the phone. He goes, hello, and my dad talked to him for a few minutes, and my dad asked him, can you cry for me? Can you do the cry?
Of course he did.
Oh, wow.
And Stan says, well, young man, I'm a little bit old for it now, but let me give it a try. And he pulled it off for him. And so he cried for my dad over the phone.
Oh, that's so awesome! Wow,
that was always one of the best memories.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys realize or not, but after Oliver Hardy died, because Stan wrote almost everything, all their material for Owl Roach Studios, and directed most of it.
He kept writing,
and
he kept writing skits.
He kept writing even after Oliver Hardy died. Yeah.
Yep.
He kept writing skits all the way to the very end. And there's a great website called Letters from Stan. If any of you guys haven't seen that.
Mm.
But it's a lot of letters that he wrote there.
Review series you can do some all do the boys shorts.
I can't because comedy. It's hard to, because comedy. It's hard to cover comedy without parodying it or ruining it. So yeah, Gorilla and I are struggling trying to do Gilligan's Island without ruining it, and we've talked about it. And we were considering doing Batman 66 a series, but if you are trying to cover comedy. Like I had a friend say, well, why don't you cover Married with Children? It's a great show. And I'm like, well, I agree. But the problem is, if I keep stopping it and talking about it, you're zapping away all the fun, all the humor.
That's true.
It's different with comedy.
Yeah, comedy's a tough one.
With comedy, you're telling people, just play it, watch it, because comedy is all about timing. So, you don't want somebody who's constantly stopping and talking about it. You want to just watch it and laugh and enjoy yourself.
That's
totally true. Yeah.
But I did think about that. Otherwise, I would.
You can describe someone slipping on a banana, and it's not funny. You got to see it.
Well, the thing is, it's not just timing, but it's continuity, right? You've got to let the joke play out in real time to get the punchline and make it funny.
Yes.
Because if you stop on it,
and
then
if
I
had a choice, I'd be. The first time I went to LA, well, I've been to LA several times. Right, but there was about 20 years ago. What was it? Let's see, about 2002. I went to LA. I've been to LA several times, but I thought, okay, I'm going to go. And what I did is I wanted to go see famous celebrity graves.
Mm.
And I said, well, the first thing I want to see Laurel and Hardy and the Three Stooges in that order. And that's exactly what I did. I saw Laurel and Hardy's first, and then I saw all Three Stooges, and then I went and saw a whole bunch of celebrities after that. I spent a whole entire week. And it was, unfortunately, back in the days when we didn't have I didn't have a camcorder. I just had a regular still 35 millimeter camera. So I came back with a stack of pictures. But I've always wanted to go back and do that again. It's just that it takes like a week or two. And I know there are some people that have channels on YouTube where they cover that. But it's, I don't know if any of you guys know, but like Laurel and Hardy, Oliver Hardy, he's just he has a tiny little marker. And the only reason why there's a marker is because Sons of the Desert, the Laurel and Hardy fan club, pitched their money together to put a marker on his grave. Yet Stan Laurel has a big fancy one. He's got his wife right next to him. And of course, they're buried in separate cemeteries. What's that?
Yeah, it depends on the star. It's amazing how simple some very famous people's grave sites are.
Oh, I went and saw.
Well, you would think like the Three Stooges.
Go ahead,
Sean.
I
was just going to say, like.
I don't want to interrupt, but I just wanted to mention, I just posted in the private chat, there's a really cool YouTube site called Hollywood Graveyard, where the fellow goes around to famous graves of all kinds of celebrities around the world.
Yep.
So if you've never seen that channel, it's a really good one to sub to. Yeah, that's a great channel.
Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, like with the Three Stooges, I thought, well, they were brothers, so I'm sure they're all buried in the same cemetery. Nope, we're all buried, all spread out all over L.A. But at
Really?
least Mo is married right next to his wife Helen, so I thought that was cool.
Hmm.
But I saw
Yeah,
Walt Disney's grave. With, his head is not frozen. Everybody,
No,
but I saw
that's a myth.
the,
That's a myth.
the biggest, but the most elaborate by far. I mean, everything else pales in comparison. The most elaborate grave was Al Jolson.
Really?
And I thought that was odd. Yeah. I mean, he has like this big waterfall and this monument that goes up. His gravesite takes
Wow.
up at least an acre.
Oh my goodness.
So
That's
he had a
crazy.
lot of money. He must have been a really, really rich man. Yeah.
You know what's
But it
one
was
of my
interesting
favorite
because some people, yeah.
grave sites is Jackie Gleason's. It's pretty elaborate, but it's got like I remember like the text in the gravesite. It's like, "And away we go." If you remember
Oh,
that
yes.
famous saying,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hilarious.
Some of the celebrity, it was great because some of the celebrities did have their famous lines put uh, on their headstones.
Yeah,
Dean Martin's, his is everybody loves somebody sometimes.
I just thought it was so funny though when you got, it's like your grave site and you're still telling a joke, right? You're still making the fans laugh. I thought that was really pretty
yeah.
cool.
Mel Blanc's is "That's All, Folks."
Oh,
That's
that's a
all,
good one.
folks. Yep.
That's a good one.
And the one gravesite I've been to is in Palm Springs, Frank Sinatra, and it's just a basic stone with his name. He's
Wow.
right among, he's just in the rows with everyone
Yeah,
else
yeah,
next to Nancy.
exactly. Yeah, some
Wow.
of them just didn't want anything fancy, right? George
No,
C. Scott didn't want a headstone at all.
Really?
Uh huh.
yeah,
Wow.
And by the way,
Sinatra's just
if it makes
among the
any,
masses. Yeah, and the
yeah, and
only
one
thing I
thing
know
that
about it, he was buried with a bottle of Jack Daniels.
but one bit of good news is Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau are buried just a few feet apart.
That's
I
cool.
think there's like one grave separating them, so I thought that was cool too.
That's very cool.
I have a funny
But I
Jack
could go,
Lemmon story.
Awesome. I love
sure.
Jack Lemmon.
Yo,
So
Pops, I gotta get going, boss.
Yes. Oh,
Oh,
I know. That's right. Oh, that's right. Oh my God, it's a 9:45.
yeah.
I'll tell you guys what. Let's please continue this conversation. I'm gonna have a rumblings from the lab stream here in a couple days, and if you guys could join me, I would really appreciate it. It'll be
yeah,
later on in the evening after 7 p.m. Pacific, if it makes it any easier for you guys.
And will that be
But yeah, I
Thursday?
want to hear your Jack Lemmon story because I am a big Jack Lemmon fan as well.
Will that be
No, it'll
it's
Thursday?
one
probably be
from
Friday, Saturday, or
my
Sunday.
father. It's a
Oh, that's
really
good.
good one.
That'll work. That'll work. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because your dad worked in Hollywood, so I definitely want to hear that.
yeah, it's a great story, but we'll wait till there's more people around to hear it because it's a doozy.
Yeah, I'm a big
Yeah,
Jack Lemmon fan, so I would love
yeah,
to hear your
he's
story.
somebody. Yeah, you could just tell, but he had to be a nice guy in real life. There's no way he could have been a
Well,
jerk.
he made so many great films too. Like I think Jack Lemmon is just one of the
Yep,
greatest actors in history. I just love his films.
he was. He was,
In fact,
and the
I'll find
combination
the
of
8x10. I have an 8x10 picture of him that he signed from my dad,
oh,
and that's part of
Oh,
the story.
wow.
And
Cool.
I'll
all
show you,
right.
and you're gonna crack up when you hear this.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to see that.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
all
Well,
right.
we'll do
Thank you
Thursday.
so
We'll
much
do another
for.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put a post up,
Thanks for
and
everyone
if you
who's been
guys could
here.
join me for the
Anyways,
stream in
guys,
a
Bye,
have a
couple
good
days,
one.
I
Nemesis.
appreciate it. Thank you, Nemesis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll put a
Good
post up. If you guys can join me,
guys.
it'll be sometime this weekend. It'll be like Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
That'll work for me.
But
Sounds good.
I want to.
All
I hate
right.
to cut it short, but I had to let my dogs out.
Right.
Go do your
Okay.
dogs.
Okay. Well, hey, have a great night, guys. We'll talk soon.
Good night, all.
Yeah, thank you for
Thanks
coming
for
by,
doing the
everybody.
stream, Pop.
Gorilla, everyone.
Oh, my
DVP,
pleasure. Thanks for being
chat.
here. Bye, bye,
Night,
guys.
everybody. It was awesome as
Night,
always.
guys.
Take care.
See you later.